What's up, YouTube? It's Fuller and Morphs.
What's up, YouTube? This is William from Simplified Dallas Exotics.
Coming in hot.
Matter of fact, I'm just Justin Carr from Carr Reptile.
I'm Brian. Welcome to Sky High Morphs.
Without further ado, let's go.
What's up, everybody? Welcome to the podcast, Morphing Around Podcast Edition. Babu, got him in the backstage real quick. What's up, Will? How you doing?
I'm great. Tired, but great.
We have not seen you around in a while, man.
Yes, sir.
And I think I kind of messed up because I don't think I uploaded Bob's intro video. So give me 2 seconds. I'm going to click off this real quick. Will is going to give you guys an update because I got to do it off my phone. It's going to take 2 seconds. And I'll bring out Babu real quick. So, Will, stage is yours real quick. Give everyone an update real fast of what's going on with you and your plans. I'll be right back.
Yes, sir. I've been hit or miss because I've been working 2 jobs because I turned in my 2-week notice on one. So that's just the right thing to do because I wasn't quitting under bad circumstances. I was just going back to my my roofing / gutter type job. Makes more money. Probably not going to school anymore, so I'm just going to do this until I get everything paid off, and then I can just be retired. But that is over. I am done with the second job, so from now on, I should make all of the podcast. Oh, he's on his phone. Look at that.
Oh, no. Yep. I got to upload it. Hang on.
So that's pretty much where I've been. I've just been grinding. So tired. Like I said earlier, tired. But get back on a routine now where I'm off every day. At the same time, I go to work at the same time. I can get on a routine where I can take care of the snakes and everything all at a time, at intervals as they need to be, instead of trying to do them all at one day. The rats all in one day.
Heck yeah, man. What's up, Adam? What's up, Eric? What's up, Will? How you guys doing? All right. Get that video uploaded real quick. Sorry about that. I just got back into town today. I was busy. We went out of town. It was hectic. So real quick. So we got Babu in the house. It's going to be a good show. I'm expecting Carr to pop in at some point. He's coming back from the gym and stuff. So who knows with him. So real quick, roll Bob's highlight video.
This is my time. My turn.
Talk of the show. This is a pastel desert ghost VPI Azanthic, and it's just a jet black and white snake. And
Rock that drive that you can't kill. I demand real. Down to my last bill. Ad bill. I can rise up. Time's up. No more ad will. Yeah. Do it when I say so. Ain't your hands up, man of the people. Y'all is who I speak to. Do it when I.
What's up, Bob? How you doing, man?
Oh, caught me.
I got you eating. I got Bob. That's going under the highlight reel, Bob. We got you. So real quick, you want to give us a little bit of background about you real fast? Because I haven't personally talked to you. This is the first time I actually informally met you. I've been over to your booth and stuff at Tinley, but you're always busy and stuff, and you got your workers and stuff. What's up, Daniel? Thanks for tuning in, man. Adam. So you want to give everyone a little quick lowdown? How you been breeding? How long you been breeding? All that.
Yeah. So I'm Babu. I'm owner of Bob's Balls. We've been in business full time since 2016. I've been breeding ball pythons. My first clutch was in 2009. And I started, I guess, investing in ball pythons soon after that. After the first clutch, I kind of was hooked, and I was like, man, this is awesome. I can get just like to feel this joy of like hatching eggs all the time. So after I graduated college, I started investing more and more once I started making any real money. And after 2013, I'd already gotten up to 80, 90 snakes. And when I was breeding them, I had no intention of selling anything. I was keeping everything. My wife tells this story all the time. When she had first met me, and she was like, "Oh, well, this is cool. This is cool." She's like, "What's this worth?" And I'm like, "Who cares? We're just keeping them all." So I just, and I was like, "Oh, cool, Mojave male. We'll keep a backup male." And and I was wholesaling some of the stuff off. Most of the stuff we were producing at the time weren't like earth shattering. Like the best thing I produced in like 2013 was or 12, 13. It was like Sterlings and like 3-4 gene codom combos. And at that time, recessive genes weren't very affordable. The most affordable recessive gene around then would have been albinos or G stripes, maybe some hypos. And I remember buying my first hypo champagne for $800 back then, stuff like that. And I bought a pair of pie. My first big investment was was a spider pied breeder male and 2 het females, and I paid $5,000 for them at the time, which was like all the money I had. And I was like, let's just go all in on this ball python thing and buy spider pies. But again, spiders weren't like they are. They're not like they are now.
Right.
People were paying more money for spider pies. Back then they called them white weddings. It's a solid white snake. Again, it's just another blue-eyed Lucy, but you can sell spider pies for $4,000 or $5,000 at the time. So I bought a spider pied male. That was my real big first investment, and I made about $50,000 off of that male in
Dang.
Yeah, so we got him going. We got the girls laying eggs and stuff, and we made about 50 grand off of him. And then I was explaining this to my dad, and he was like, it's got to be a scam of some sort. There's no way you 10x your money in any world of investment. You're making 10x your money. It's like some type of scam, right? Or it's like when people are selling Bitcoin pretty much at the time.
Right.
And I was like, no, this is a real thing. I think I'm going to pursue it. And at the time, I was also a director for an insurance company. So it's not like I had a ton of time to pursue all this and do shows as a director for them. And in 2016, my wife convinced me, well, it didn't really take much convincing, to quit my day job and just pursue snakes full time. And she was like, we had just bought our first house together, but we were lucky enough at the time, the market was very low, the bear market. And we bought this house, brand new construction, and we were able to pay it cash for $160,000. This is back in 2016. And so we just bought the house, and she was like, we barely have any bills. So even if you absolutely suck at the snake thing, which we've already been doing okay, we can always go back. Always call your boss and go back, which, for sure. But yeah, so I just called my boss and I told him I was going to pursue this snake thing full time, and he thought it was the craziest thing in the world. And he literally told me, call me in 6 months when you take your job back, and we'll have your spot ready. So I haven't talked to him in 8 years. So
Dang, man. Do you still keep in contact with them? Be like, hey, you were wrong.
No, I try not to. I try not to be like that guy. Plus, he's a very successful agency owner, and he was very good to me. I made a lot of money with that company, all the company trips and stuff, and they spoiled the heck out of us at that company. And I was very appreciative of everything they taught me. The sales, so much sales carry over. I wasn't like a door-to-door salesman, but I can be at times if I needed to be. Like if I showed up to your house, knocking on your door because I had a 5 o'clock appointment, and you're not home, and I already wasted my gas and time driving out there, I'm gonna knock on your neighbor's door and ask, and do my pitch. And if your neighbor doesn't answer, I'm gonna go to the next house. I'm not a door-to-door salesman, but I'm not gonna waste my time driving to someone's house either.
Or nothing.
That type of grind, that type of like teaching you all those sales tactics and the way to talk to people, the way to communicate with different types of people. You can't just be the same salesman at a Repticon versus the same salesman at Tinley. It's a totally different show, different game.
Can you explain the difference on that real quick?
Oh, for sure, man. Your $300 first time buying a snake customer needs to have their hand held a little bit. You need to kind of sell them the snake. Hey, why are they even buying a ball python? Right, this is their first snake, and this is the sales pitch. Why are you even buying this? First of all, why ball python? I need to sell you on why ball pythons first. And a lot of people do come to our table thinking they're going to buy a corn snake. Well, corn snake, for some reason, is in everyone's mind as the perfect pet snake. They'll come to our table and they're like, we're actually looking for a corn snake. And I'll ask them, well, why are you looking for a corn snake? Oh, we want a pet snake we can actually handle. And I'm like, corn snake isn't the one. And I'll explain to them why ball pythons is the most popular pet snake and what makes it an easy pet snake. Then you go, so you already convince them into the ball python thing. Then why you, right? Because in Tinley especially, or even at a regular Repticon, you're going to have at least 20 to 30 other breeders compete with. And you all have the same thing. Nothing makes my Blue Eye Lucy more special than a guy that catches first clutch Blue Eye Lucy's. Genetically, the animals are the same. They're like, oh, the quality difference. There's no quality difference. This man bought a lesser, probably from me, especially if you produce in Georgia, bought a lesser from me. So it's the same quality. You know, when people are like, oh, I bought JKR line of animals. Well, the guy that bought from Justin is also producing JKR line animals, you know? So when you're talking about the quality difference, like, yeah, we made Blue Eye Lucy's. This guy made Blue Eye Lucy's, the same snake. So convincing someone to buy a snake from us, it's not so much like my snake is better than everyone else in this venue. You know, this Blue Eye Lucy is better than this. It's so much the security of buying from us. Hey, if you buy from me and this snake craps out on you, doesn't eat up for you, anything like that, there's always reassurance that you can call me and I'll pick up the phone or I'll text you or I'll email you. And that's the reason for the big setup sometimes. I feel like that it's a huge advantage of having a clean professional setup is that when someone buys a snake from us, they don't have to think, man, what if I call this guy and he doesn't pick up? And he just say, screw you, it's on you. You're on your own. You know, having the setup automatically gives them a vision of, oh man, I'm buying from a boutique. I'm buying from a guy that cares. And, you know, you're going into, obviously this person cares about the way their display looks, the way their store looks, their animal at home, probably most likely is being well taken care of. If a vendor doesn't even care how he shows his animal to the public, you know, like the way your spread is to the public, and if you don't even care there, you probably don't care at home. And those animals probably aren't being well taken care of. You know, so those are the few things that, like, as a first-time buyer, they're going to look at. In Tinley, it's a different game, man. You're selling an $8,000, $10,000 snake. This customer really has a few questions. Genetic guarantee, what were the parents, eating well. I'll be honest, when I buy high-end animals, I don't even hold them. I just look at the animal. It looks cool. It's genetically what I need. Obviously, as long as it's feeding well, it looks like it has good body structure, and I just buy the animal. You know, it's not a lot of your $5,000 customers generally don't have a lot of questions and don't call you that often.
Correct.
They'll send you the next picture he sends you is when it's on egg or asking for you.
Yeah, I think me and Will do the same thing. Like when we were at Expos, we determined that does work really good for people. If you have that guarantee, that health guarantee, like, hey, if you have any questions, call me or call Will, because like Will's always with me at the Expos and stuff. Like we do that same customer guarantee too. And like I said,
back your animals.
Yeah, back your animals, guys. Like take care of your displays. You know, wipe them down, make them look clean and stuff. Like you're presenting yourself and your company name when you go to these expos and stuff. Like even if you're a first time buyer or vendor, me and Will started off, you know, with freaking deli cups and stuff, and then we found out that once we upgraded to the display case, that's when the sales start really hitting, and you look that more professional. You have that sign in the background, you know, with you and your logo and stuff, and with the business cards, because you know we didn't have any of that, and then when we struggled, you know, but we just weren't there yet, you know what I mean? And then we built it up to what it is today. And I think we're pretty damn successful, actually. I mean, it is a grind, like you said. How many shows?
What is all the what do you think it all costs? Let's say for one table setup to be, you know, 3 displays or whatever. All of that all together. What do you think about that costs?
I have it to like where we've been, because I don't vend Tinley or Repticon yet. I like to one day. I'm not quite there yet. I'm year 4 into this. But I do have some heavy hitters and stuff too. We have it priced out between your gas, your hotel, and stuff. Like with the bigger ones, you're looking at around $1,000 or so. It depends. That's with the like, cause like we're like, well, if you want to go do a big time show, you're gonna have to go drive big time, because like that's just not around here. Now the smaller shows that we do, I have it figured out where we are spending probably with table fees, gas, food, all that. If we get snacks or anything like that, that's all right off under LLC, you guys. You're probably looking at like $100, $150 to go vend a show.
So if you're already spending, let's say on a regular show, $1,000 to be there, right? Tables, hotel, blah 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 blah. Why can't you invest an extra $2,000 and vend two less shows and get displays, tablecloth, banner, and your logo doesn't have to cost you $1,000. Don't have to.
No.
You can get a local artist or your favorite artist, hell, your tattoo artist, whoever, to draw you up a really nice logo and digitize it and use it. My favorite artist is Adeline Robinson, so she does all of our arts, especially for our show and stuff. But if you don't have access to an artist that you really like, a reptile artist, there's a lot of artists that can mock up reptile logos, and so let's say you're in for $2,000, right? You got 3 displays of $500 a piece. You got a $200 banner and tablecloth, blah, 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 that makes you look professional. You're in for $2,000. Automatically, your sales over the next year out of that $2,000 setup will easily cover that.
Oh, easily.
And when I was considering redoing our displays, I was like, man, because I had Dave Levinson, very good friend of mine. Dave Levinson was made all of my displays for me originally. Then when Dave stopped making displays and I needed to expand, I hated having mismatched displays. And, I was breaking a few and I had cracks and stuff like that. And it was just hard to call Dave and try to get him to fix one piece. And so I called ARS and I'm like, hey, man, I just want to get a full set, everything the works. And they're like, cool, we'll set you up, blah, 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 blah. And we're in for like $8,500 for full everything. I bought 2 sets of displays.
Right.
And I told him, I was like, usually I run about 12 to 15 sets, and I want to have some backup sets and stuff like that. And I've only ran 20 sets of display at one show ever, and it was the most hectic show. It was one of their biggest shows, and we were running back and forth trying to bag animals. But yeah, so I was thinking, man, it's going to cost me $8,000, blah, 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 blah. We recovered that within the first quarter. The very next quarter, we got that money. Like if we just take $10 off per sale, $20 off per sale, to cover that $2,000, you'll cover that back easily. And again, like you mentioned, it's all tax deductible anyway. So
yeah, if you guys are LLC or anything like that, it's all just write it off. Keep the receipt, write it off. Freaking, you're gonna get a tax credit and stuff like that. It's gonna help you build. Yeah, it's gonna help you build your business faster, because like that. So like, I don't know how you do it, Bob, but like what I do is I work. I'm still full time at a factory, so I'll take what I normally get off of my factory job, because like I get more back because of the LLC and stuff like that at times until I'm profitable. But I will. The last 3 years I fell back, because I'm not married, stuff like that. So it's just me. So I get, your average non-married single dude or whatever making what I make. I get like $1,000 back. I'm lucky. Okay, so I'll keep that. Everything else after that, if I get, whatever back, whatever goes back into the business. You know what I mean? Like you have to invest. That's not my money. That's the business's money, guys. We're going to be talking probably more business today. Just because that's the side of things, for people that want to be bigger or, want to try to break even, I'd highly encourage you to go find an accountant so you guys can get your write-offs. You're already spending the gas, the table fees, right off your table, all of that, man. It helps. It adds up. It helps, and you can grow your business faster. So take that money that, say, you get $5,000-$6,000 back from the government. Go buy a banger snake. Go buy something that's going to help, or go buy your displays case. Go buy what you need that will help you grow. Yeah. It would be my best advice for you guys.
Because like if you're buying rats, that's a write-off. If you're buying rats, all the bedding, all the food for that, all the racks for that, that's all write-offs. And if you work a full-time job, what it does is deduct from what you made.
Yep.
so it puts you in a lower tax bracket. So all the taxes you paid will come back.
Yeah. So let's say you make $30,000 in a year, you spend $10,000 on your snakes and stuff like that. Technically, you made 20,000.
You're taxed for 20,000.
Yep. So, you guys need any help or anything with an accountant and stuff too? I have one down.
I've never gotten a tax refund before, so that must be cool. I've actually been 1099 my whole life, so like straight out of college, I've been 1099, and
yeah.
So every little bit of savings you can get, I pretty much can kind of find somewhere, and we chat about this. We can chat about this for hours. Talking about between what type of vehicle to buy, why should you buy a transit van? Well, because they weigh 6,050 pounds, literally. Like they made that vehicle that heavy for a reason, so that you can deduct it all off the first year if you wanted to. Your vehicle, your mileage,
is that why? Is it because of weight? Because like the vehicles go by weight and stuff. Is that why they make it that heavy?
Anything after 6,000 pounds? Yeah. So you notice G wagons are just a little over 6,000 pounds also. So G wagons is the way where rich people need some tax expenses, or they need a write off, so they go and buy a G wagon for $250,000 and write it all off in the first year. Well, you got a new truck and the tax write off. Anything over 6,000 pounds you can write off in the first year. A lot of heavy trucks are that, like, they really just get them right over that 6,000 pound threshold, and that's a lot of vehicles that you'll look up. But there are so many deductions out there, like hiring your own children. If you have kids, you can hire your kids for X amount of dollars a year and 100% write that off as their income that they don't have to file taxes on. Stuff like that. So you can hire your children for X amount of, God, I cannot remember the number. Again, I don't have kids, so I don't look that up very, very hard. I want to say $16,000. It might be less per child. And then just stuff like that. And then once you turn your LLC into an S corp, then you have different type of tax things you can do. You can hire yourself. So I am actually an employee at Bob's Balls. So when people ask, sometimes you hear me refer to like us, or stuff like that, because Bob's Balls is actually the company. I just work here. I am an employee and I get paid $900 a week from this company, and you can provide benefits at that point. You can again, now one of your employees or one of your friends needs to be a 1099. You can switch them to 1099. You can put them on a W-2. However you want to do it. You have a lot of options around all of that. It doesn't have to be straightforward. You're sole proprietor and you have to pay this tax at the end of the year. There's a lot of options you can work around, especially being your own boss. So
that's the advantage of being an S corp over LLC, because I'm getting to the point now where my accountant said something about that, where he was like, "Hey, you might want to considering like what you do at the factory and like where you're at and stuff. Like you might want to consider being an S corp, where it might benefit you financially, tax wise, in that instead of a LLC, because an S corp, you're sitting there and you're combining both your incomes as one, where an LLC it's kind of separate. So I'm not really sure how exactly that works. Like I haven't gotten deep into it, but he did say that, like, since I'm making X amount, because like pretty much what they're saying is that like my W-2 is going to be with the S corp, like with that income. And you can get, like you said and stuff, you get more write-offs, or you can do a little bit more with it. See, I didn't know that you can sit there and I learned something. I didn't know that you can sit there and you have it. Like if you have children, that you can hire them and they don't got paid. Now, I think Brian Sky High Morse was talking about that and stuff like that. So I'm gonna have to talk to him and stuff and have him go back in this podcast. He just can't be on right now because he's going on the 15 minutes of lame with Eaton. So he's not allowed to be on another person, but he's usually with us too. But yeah, I mean, that's interesting. So that's definitely, I appreciate that info, Bob. I'm going to check into that, man.
Yeah, there's a lot of stuff like that. You can do a lot of workarounds. And again, a lot of this is after you've broken your 100,000 a year cap or 150,000 a year cap, where you want to hire yourself. You become an employee so that you can get these deductions and stuff like that. And again, if you're hiring your children at 15,000, again, a lot of people who do snakes that have children, their children do help with the snakes. My good friend You know, Josh, his kids help with the rodents, the snakes. They even go to shows and sell geckos and sell snakes with him. So I'm sure he's giving them a percentage of what their, you know, geckos are selling for, or, you know, paying them to help. So you can write all that off. You know, there's no reason to leave that money on the table. If you're paying your kids to help you, you should be able to write that off. It is business expense.
Right. Do you have to sit there and renew your S corp like you do an LLC every year?
I have no idea. My accountant handles all that.
Yeah. Okay. I got. I'll check into that then. I know, like an LLC, you gotta pay the LLC fee every year, which isn't much. But
I'm pretty sure you do. You have to renew, you know, your stuff.
Yeah.
Pretty sure on that.
That's interesting. All right. So, yeah, that's man, I learned something new real quick. All right. Before we get into ball pythons, guys, let's take a quick commercial break real quick. Give everyone a second to recoup a little bit. So, stand by, guys. We'll be right back.
Instead of just euthanizing these animals, there are people that really want them. There's zoos, there's places. I could have made calls and had them out of the state by morning.
Apparently, the state of Washington is trying to take away the ability for people to teach kids in the next generation about animals.
Everybody who contacted the legislators, that bill did not meet the deadline, so that bill is actually going to die. So,
and we're back real quick. All right. So I know that we were talking backstage and stuff a little bit. You want to give us the story of that snake that you bought in Tinley?
Oh yeah, snake. I bought actually.
Everyone would love to hear this because everyone. That was the big. I think that was the biggest news that we've heard around Tinley that March. Because that was the first. That was the first spring show I went to in Tinley. Now I always go in October, like all the time. Like every year we go in October. But that was the first, and then like we heard that you bought that animal. I'm like, what? I'm like, that's crazy. So you want to go over those details and stuff too?
Yeah. So I've known Matt for a little bit now, and he actually texted me out of the blue with the animal, and I said, "There's no way this guy from the middle of nowhere." Again, he only hatches. He hatches under 20 clutches a year. I want to say, not a ton of clutches. And he was telling me he did triple het to triple het and produced 2 males.
Andy.
So the animal we're referring to is a desert ghost azanthic clown. And there's only maybe less than 10 in the world. I want to say Justin's produced 8 of them. So and when he offered me the male, I was like, there's no way I can afford this, you know. And he wanted a lot of money, which is very understandable. For a hatchling, I know Justin had one on the table in Tinley for $45,000. I know that for a fact that's what it was going for. But that is at, you know, 100 grams or less. You know, he had a hatchling on the table for $45,000. So we're discussing what would an adult ready to breed now male cost. And, you know, we're both settling around $60,000. However, we worked out a little deal between us with cash and then trade considerations and stuff like that. And so I already went into Tinley knowing I was going to buy this animal. But I told him, you can price this animal on the table at whatever you want. And if someone else does make you a better cash offer that you feel you have to take, again, then, you know, I'm not going to be offended. I told him I will not be mad if someone comes in and drops you 75 grand in cash. And I said that in a text, and that's exactly what I did, $75,000. And actually someone did offer him a very good cash offer that is higher than what I offered. And it was higher than what I offered or what we agreed on. And I'll be honest, if he was to have sold it to that guy, I would have been a little bit salty, even though I said I wouldn't be. I would have been like, God dang it, you know, we had a deal, but I did tell him you can sell it. But the guy that made the offer actually came to my table and said, man, I can't believe I made this offer. And he said no. And I was like, really? He said he's firm. And I went over to his table, shook his hand, and I said, hey, man, just put my name on that thing before more people make the offer. And I went and paid him, and I took the snake on Sunday morning. I took it with me on Sunday morning. I was tired of people like gawking over it and wanting to make offers. But yeah, so I took that animal home, and this is like, I was so nervous. I had it in a box. I took it to the hotel. I kept it with me when we're driving back from the show. Usually when we're driving back from the show, you just load everything in the back of the van and drive. But I'm like, what if the sun hits this box or, something? I mean, this is a $50,000 animal. So I get home with it. I throw it in my quarantine area. And I'll announce this again. I'm not ashamed or afraid to let people know this. I went ahead and bred that male the following week to a female. And I got a lot of flack with this on Instagram. And I understand it. Sometimes we preach certain things and then we go and do things because I was too overly excited. So what I did was, because this male's in a quarantine rack, I removed this female out of her rack and put her into the quarantine rack. Hindsight, yes, some people would say that's very irresponsible for me to do, to put a female at risk, right? Just to get her to breed early. And you have to understand, from a business perspective, I have $50,000 tied up into an animal that's a depreciating asset, considering Justin's going to produce more of these. And they're right. Again, it's just supply and demand. Their price has to drop at some point. So I need to make the most money out of this male within the next 12 months for it to make sense, where I can still sell the babies at higher value. And the female that he was breeding was a Desert Ghost Clown female. And they're like, well, why couldn't you wait another 2 months? Well, the reason for that was she was sitting at 32 millimeters. At 32 millimeters, this female is in my collection. I would say she's done. She's ready to go, and you just put a sticker on her and stop breeding her. But I had a theory that whatever the last male that breeds a female, as it gets closer to ovulation, that male will steal that clutch. So I went ahead and bred her at 32 millimeters. That was right after Tinley. Her clutch just tipped yesterday. We just cut the clutch, and we have 6 Desert Ghost Clown and 3 Pastel Desert Ghost Clowns that are all het for Xanthics. So we know, we don't know that het visually, right? But we know it's his. He sired the clutch, because if the other male sired the clutch, we wouldn't put those babies. So that's the theory moving forward. We're going to try this on about 10 clutches, breeding them at 30 millimeters roughly, with a different male that we can tell which one, which male sired the clutch, and just kind of trying to see if we can save some of our heavy hitter males this way, their juices, their sperm, whatever you want to call it, and kind of use that information, that knowledge, so that down the road, if we needed a male to not breed himself to death, and we don't want to go with one lock, okay, we're going to breed that girl at 30 millimeters after another male has already gotten her started. That's the theory anyways. I'm not throwing it out there saying that's fact.
Right.
But again, it worked for this clutch. Doesn't mean it'll work for the next. Okay. But yeah, so that's the animal we picked up, one of the animals we picked up in Tinley. And I also picked up a very, very beautiful yellow belly hypo puzzle het pied. Jason Kittinger.
Yeah, you got that from Jay. I held that snake. Actually, we actually made a reel with that. Actually, me and Jason were having fun with that. I'm like, hey, I'm your plug or whatever. You're my plug or whatever. Hand me a snake. I'll be like crip walking out of here or whatever. It was funny. It had a lot of likes and stuff. Like, he had a fun time with it. But yeah, I did see that. Dude, that animal was freaking amazing.
Really, and he eats. It's probably one of the best feeders I've ever purchased. I mean, this thing's always ready to eat. I can probably breed it now, but I know he's not even a year old yet, so I'm gonna be very patient and wait a few more months. But man, phenomenal animal. Again, Jason's one of my favorite breeders out there.
Yeah.
You ever find that Jason is like pretty intimidating to like approach?
What was that?
You ever like Jason's a little bit intimidating to approach?
No.
You don't think so? Okay, like, that's just me then. I feel like when I first met him, he like absolutely hated me, and I was like, man, this dude is so hard to like figure out. And then once you get to know him and you talk to him a little bit, he's like the nicest guy in the world. Yeah. But like, I feel like it's just so hard to like even approach him. I feel like a lot of people get scared of approaching him. But
oh no, he's a great dude. I actually, I think I had like 4 of his snakes actually in my collection. I actually I was having a payment plan problem because Will decided to crash my Envoy. And I had a whole bunch of, I had like 2 animals on a payment plan. Like I bought from him before. I bought the Acid Clown from him 2 years ago. I paid, decent money for that, 2 years ago for him. And I was good for it, and he knew it. And I spent a lot of money on that. And I just paid, cash up right then and there pretty much after many transaction tries. Will was there with that one.
That was my first Tinley experience, actually.
Yeah. And it was cool because I get this other stuff. I think I got a what did I get off of them? I got that Stranger double het hypo clown was one, and then I was looking for the VPI Xanthic pie for the gorilla, for the GHI Gorilla Boy that I got from Antonio or Antoine. Yeah, I got a gorilla, man.
Yeah.
So I got that, and I was looking, I was like, I want to throw this in the Xantic or something. So I got the VPI Pied Girl, and that was just a bonus because he was like, well, it was about getting ready to be winter time. He's like, I'll just ship it to you. You don't just pay me when you can. He's like, I know you're good for it or whatever. I'm like, oh, I'm like, fucking A, dude. I'm like, that's unheard of. You don't ship animals unless they're paid for. So this guy like really trusts me. I'm like, hey, like, do me a favor real quick, like throw in that VPI Pied or whatever, dude. I'll give you, he's like, all right, I got you. So that, and then
you got that from him.
Yeah, I got that from him. What's up, Mike? Yeah, I ended up paying him off. Like, it took a little bit longer than normal, but I was always in the loop. I'm like, hey, like, you're gonna get money here. I get paid once a month from the factory, and then I was trying to deal with the Envoy damage that we did because it was snowing out. We put it in a ditch, and that was our Expo vehicle for how big it is. Because like I said, I have the car too, but the car's not gonna fit the Coco in it or the snakes and any of that. Were we doing the Coco then, Will? No, I don't think we were. No, we weren't. We were just going to expos and stuff.
It was just the expos.
and I remember it was like I was sleeping and I just hear Will, oh shit. And I like wake up and the car's going sideways. I'm like, ah. First thing I think is like, I don't have my seatbelt on. Like, I'm gonna die. Well, we hit the freaking ditch and stuff, and the next thing I know, I'm like, the car's smoking and stuff. I'm like, dude, I don't give a yeah, I don't even care about the Envoy. The snake's okay. Like, you know what I mean? Like, everything was fine. It wasn't very minor. It was very minor-ish damage, but long story short and stuff, like Jason.
We drove it home.
Yeah, we drove it home. We got it home somehow. We were going to go, but ended up we broke one of the axles, and just the wheel was hanging onto the axle. That was it. I had a dude from work fix it for way cheaper than what the place was trying to charge me. So he saved me a bunch of money, but Jason's a very good guy because as long as you keep him in the loop, he's like, no, he's like, I get it. He's like, I understand. He's like, you kept me through the loop the whole time, and I wasn't guessing. I'm like, nah, dude, I'm not gonna do that to you, man. I'm like,
a lot of payment plans are like that. Like when people fall behind, all I want is them to message me and say, hey, man, I'll get you in 2 weeks, even a month, whatever it is. Just let me know. And again, it's Jason. He's very understanding.
Yeah.
He actually spent the night here with me on his way to Tinley.
Yeah, that's what he was saying. Yeah, that's what he was saying on the podcast 2 weeks ago and stuff. That he's like, I might take a break and go over to Vooz or whatever and stuff, go hang out with him, and then finish my drive down to Tinley.
Yeah, because it's like the first time I talked to him about it, he was going to drop off an animal at my house because I was buying it. I was like, hey, just drop it off here. I don't want to have to pick it up in Tinley. It doesn't make any sense. And he was like, cool. And I was like, oh. And then when he gets here, and I'm like, so like, are you driving straight through? Because it's like 19 hours, 18 hours.
Yeah.
And he was like, no, I'm going to stop maybe in a few hours and then, just sleep at a rest stop. And I'm like, I just handed you $18,000 in cash and you're going to go sleep at a rest stop with all your animals there. And it's like, and we drive to Tinley, it's March. So it's like freezing outside. And I was like, dude, just stay at my house. And he was like, I don't know if he felt like weird because, we weren't like close friends or anything. And now we're good. Now it's like every time he drives through, I can just tell him, hey, just stop in and load your animal. Again, my snake room is very easy to load in. You just back your car in and literally just load right in, leave all your displays where it is. And we'll go out to dinner, go grab some dinner, and he can leave out the next morning. Because I don't leave for Tinley until like Thursday night. I don't leave for anything until like 12 hours before the show opens. And I leave my animals in the display, in their racks for as long as I can. I procrastinate that because I just want them on heat and water for as long as possible, and then we drive through the night.
So you pack up your snakes. Ooh, excuse me. The day of that you leave, right?
Yeah.
Dang, that's crazy. How long does that take you, man? I know you have tons of animals over at Tinley and stuff. How long does that usually take you to do?
2 hours.
That's not bad.
Yeah. I do all the labeling ahead of time. So on Wednesday, I would pre-label everything. I would print out all the labels, get it put on tubs, and then on Thursday, literally it's just sometimes I'll do it. Sometimes when my guys would do it, they'll just peel the labels and slap the animals in. So on Thursday afternoon, they do that, and then we leave around midnight. We get there on Friday at noon. We set up and we went through the day. Only for Tinley. Tinley is the only day where we actually went through the whole day.
Okay.
Because you do make good money on Friday in Tinley. Tinley, like on Friday, is where the bulk of your money is going to be made.
That's where your serious breeder buyers are there. Like, they know what they want. They don't got like boom, like here's what you want for here's your money.
They don't want to have to fight the crowd because I'll be honest, man. On a Saturday at lunchtime, in Tinley. It's so hectic. I don't even want to leave my table. Josh will call me and be like, "Hey, you want to come to our table? We're busting a bottle or or celebrating something." I'm like, dude, it was going to take me 20-30 minutes to get from my side of the room to the other side of the room. So it's a little difficult. I actually did get moved this year, by the way, for Tinley, so I will no longer be in that little low section.
Oh, really?
Main floor.
Okay, cool, man. Hell yeah, that's what's up. Yeah, because like I said, I do most of my bulk buys over in Tinley on VIP Saturday, and I just for the same fact, I don't like dealing with the crowd. And then we'll sit there and we'll talk to the breeders or do our interviews for the YouTube channel as well, do our highlights, and then we're out. So I don't like dealing with the crowd either. Will doesn't like it. I think this year though in October, I think we're gonna stay a little bit longer. I think we're gonna stay for the auction this year. I've never been to the auction yet.
Man, you gotta I feel like stay for the auction, maybe record some auction stuff because it's good stuff. It's for USARK, and again, auctions aren't like they used to. Like 2021, 22 were probably 2021 was probably the craziest auctions I've ever been to. Again, there was so much money flowing into the industry. Guys were making dudes that suck at breeding ball pythons were making $200,000 a year. Like these guys had no business making any money, and they're just selling out of inventory. People, you don't even have to even know what you're doing. You could be in the industry for 6 months and you'll be sold out with the first few clutches. And there was so much money going in. The auctions were wild. I saw someone pay $20,000 for a PS5. Yeah, it was. And then we were at the Daytona one.
I mean, it's going for a good cause. So
yeah, it's going for a good cause. Like that's awesome, though, man.
Yeah, it's like a pair of guns in Florida went for like $20,000, and a T-Rex replica toy thing, like not life size. It was just massive T-Rex toy. It went for $16,000. One of the pet shops bought it, and again, it was all for USARK at the time, especially Daytona. I feel like Daytona has more to donate to because considering they fight more of the laws than anybody else in Florida.
That's true. That's true. Yep.
So they should raise more money.
We were supposed to go to Daytona in August, but that changed. I'm kind of disappointed on that one. Maybe next year. I plan on going next year. Yeah. But money situation and had to put new windows in the house, so priorities, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
They kind of suck. Also, Bob was saying too that he prior to buying that male over at Tinley, he did test that male, like the fecal matter, the mouth swab. So Bob just say that spending all that money and stuff, like he made sure that the animal was negative for viruses or anything like that, because we did release that NATO video a couple weeks ago and stuff, and talking about testing and stuff like that. And since then, you guys, I do offer free NATO testing with a snake purchase from me if you choose that you want it. That was my give back to people as well. So,
head or who are you going through?
I'm going through what was it? What was the name of it? There you go. Hang on.
RAL. Okay. Yeah. So there's a few companies that do it. So again, when you're buying an animal, $50,000 animal, I feel it's very reasonable to request a swab and fecal. You don't want to take that animal home and it just, poop its brains out because it had worms or it had nido. And I told him my intention. I said, at the minute this animal comes in, I'm quarantining him. The first meal he takes, boom, he's getting a female the very next week. I need to know this animal is healthy. And again, this is between two professional breeders. What we're talking about. He shouldn't be offended. I'm not trying to offend in any way. So it was very fair. And anyone making big purchases where you feel like you don't want to put your collection at risk, you can always request. The seller does not have to. Again, if he told me no, I would not have been offended. I told him, I was like, if you don't want to test it, I'll test it as soon as it arrives at my house.
Okay, that's what I was going to ask him. Like, if you didn't want to test it, were you going to test it, or would you just not buy that animal?
Oh, there's no way I'm not buying that animal. I was buying, I already bought it in my mind the minute he offered it to me. I was just trying to get a better price on it. And once we agreed on price, then it was like, okay, cool. This is just one little caveat of things. I would have taken it home, sent this fecal out the very next week. Very next day, I would have had it back, within a week, and we would have been done. Again, I'll quarantine him, not a big deal. So,
how often do you test? Do you randomly? I know I was hearing that Canova he randomly tests every a couple groups, like a month or something like that, like every now and then?
Quarterly. So we do a random. Again, you don't want to. It's impossible to test every animal you own.
Right. It'd be expensive. Yeah.
Unreasonable expectations for like tell people to you need to test your whole collection. Pick an animal. Just go in a rack and be like this animal. Go to this rack, pick this animal. This rack, this animal. And again, you can work out bulk deals with companies. You can get prices as low as $20, $25 per test. And
who do you go through to do it? Do you go through? I know that there was another one that but they're a little bit more expensive.
So Fishhead, I think Fishhead was the main one that everyone was using, and then my local vet here also tests.
Oh, okay, gotcha. All right, cool, man. Heck yeah. So like I said, like I didn't just post that video to cause stuff. Like I want everyone to be aware of what's out there and to maybe up your guys' testing and stuff, or take a look at your quarantine tactics and stuff like that. Because everyone works hard for their collection. Most, we're not like Bob. I'm not yet, or who knows if I will be, but I'm not full time doing this. So like, that's factory money. Like, hey, I spent $5,000 or $2,000 on this animal. Like, how many hours did I have to work to get that? You don't want to sit there and have something so stupid, wipe out your collection, all that hard work. It sucks, man. Like it's a grind.
Really, one sick animal can wipe out your whole collection, or at least the majority of your collection.
Yeah, and it's not something to scare people away. It's just awareness. Like, hey, just be careful. Like, if you see a sick animal, like maybe stay away from it. Like,
I think like at this level, our level, or in any higher end level of seriousness of breeding, mites become almost not a concern. I don't want to say I don't really care, but if an animal comes into me with mites, or I find out my collection has mites, or any sort of thing like that have to do with mites, you can come home from a show and one of your animals might have a mite on it. It's bound to happen. Someone was handling it and they have mites on them. Again, people don't think about this a lot. Like, people carry mites on their clothes because they just handled a snake, or they had a snake on their shoulder. So that could transmit onto your animal again. So treat your animals after you get back from a show, spray them down, dip them down, whatever you got to do. But mites become, at this level, actually your probably smallest problem. If we found out our collection had mites, we would eliminate it within the day. If you know what product to use, you can eliminate it within the day. But an animal coming in with a respiratory infection or NIDO or something like that, that's got a big pain in the butt, because now every animal that comes in contact with that animal is now having to go into quarantine. Anything close to that animal has to go into quarantine. Now you got to take that whole rack out and sanitize the whole rack. Now it's just so much work.
So much. Yeah. So you guys would rather like Bob said, and that's awesome that that he's saying this and stuff, and that he supports testing as well. Because I'm trying to push, because like natto right now is going around in Michigan. It's getting worse from what I'm hearing. From one of the promoters and stuff like that we go to. Now it's not over at that expo. It's more up like in the up UP type area. But I mean, it's just something that's still concerning, and that's why when I looked into it and stuff like that, I'm like, oh shit, like, I've heard about it, but I never really did the research on it and stuff like that. It was very concerning. I was like, oh man, I was like, I gotta change my tactics, because like I'm freaking, I thought I was good. I'm kind of lazy with shit. You know what I mean? Like, you get excited, or I'm like, I look back, I'm like, all right, so we fixed some stuff. I got the, I started doing the F10, doing that hard, cleaning out, to disinfect better. Like you said, like clothes, we take different clothes to the expos and stuff, especially if I'm in Michigan or anywhere really, take different clothes, change your clothes out, put them in a bag, keep stuff away from your animals that you're bringing. There's just those little things that you can do. Josh Fisher asks, what's your mite treatment of choice? I don't know what Bobby's, I use reptile spray. I've had to deal with mites once when I first started. I didn't quarantine a breeder female that I got. It did suck, but I was only, at the time I only had like 10 or 15 snakes, but that was enough for me to know that I don't ever want mites again.
Nope.
You end up having to take like a flea and tick treatment, spraying the racks down. Okay. You have to do that, and you have to let it air out, because that stuff's poisonous to your animals. Okay. The reptile spray is not, so you can directly spray it on them, but you have to take their water away for 8 hours or so they don't get in their water and drink the reptile spray. Okay, so keep them on paper towels too. You don't want no bedding in it. I kept them on paper towels at that time. And when you stop seeing freckles and stuff like that in the paper towels, keep them on paper towels for at least another 2 weeks or so, because the eggs. That's where your main concern is, you guys, is the eggs and stuff like that. I also use the flea and trick treatment on the carpets as well when I had it, because they will go on the carpets and stuff too. So it's a lot like fleas for dogs, but it's worse and it spreads so much faster. The soaking, I did the myth with the soaking in Dawn dish soap. Yes, that helps. That provides temporary relief. But I was talking to another breeder at the time, because I was only like year 1 into this. I had no idea. He's like, no, he's like, they do the reptile spray. He's like, you'll thank me later. And I'm like, all right. So I took that same female, I did it, and I was like, and you just see the mice just coming in between the scales that were still there. I'm like, holy shit. And like, people will sit there like, oh, I can get rid of it. Well, how are you doing it? I'm just soaking. Well, you're never gonna get rid of them.
Right.
Yeah. I take a paper towel and spray down the paper towel with that spray, and then I wipe from the head down.
Yeah.
And,
Yeah,
and
so-
like, I got 5. Well, I think it was 5 snakes from a local breeder, and he didn't bother to tell me they had mites. Somebody else that bought snakes from him told me. So I knew ahead of time before I got home that they weren't coming into the house. They stayed in the garage. And I set up basically a quarantine with the Rubbermaid hefty lockable lid totes and just paper towels and that stuff. It was bad. Like, I took the towel and wiped
We
it.
could see them when he picked
And
those
you
up.
could see, like, with just my bare hand, you could see the mites on my hand.
Oh yeah.
It was so bad.
Feels like an Angolan python. I've gotten animals in like that where you're feeling it's like a beady animal almost.
Yeah, you can feel, yeah. It's freaking insane.
I've used every mite product on the market. I've used Prevenamite. Prevenamite's the worst one in my opinion, because it's the only one where it will kill your snake. One of the only ones. It will kill your snake if you don't use it correctly.
Really?
You spray Prevenamite on a snake, it will be dead within 2 hours. It'll be wobbling within the first 20 minutes and then dead within 2 hours. Prevenamite is extremely powerful. You have to spray it on something, let it dry out, and it's just not a good product, in my opinion. Not a good product. Yeah, so that's the product that we're using in the Patreon, and I'm telling everybody about it. Is Taurus SC. It is a fipronil product. The fipronil is the active ingredient that kills the mites. It breaks down the outer shell and actually kills the mites. And this is on contact. Okay, so I've done treatments. I've held mites and put them in different type of environment and sprayed them with different products. Prevenamite does kill them. However, it does take time, and it has to dry out for your animals to be safe to go back in. And then we used what is the stuff we used? Oh, Nick's lice cream. It was a lice cream. You can get them in a cream tube. It's a 59 milliliter tube. You mix it into a gallon jug, shake it up real well, and then spray it directly on the snakes. That works great too. However, if you don't mix it out well, it will, and then don't let it air real well, it will cause your snakes to wobble after a while. Then the mites actually became immune to it after months of treatment.
Oh.
You don't get rid of all of them. They start to build a tolerance to this. Then the pest strips work well too. If you're in a small room and you use the pest strips, you will pass out. That stuff is super strong.
Yeah, we use the pest strips for expos and stuff on the table to try to like repel them, you know, keep them off. You know, like they're not like by the snake, but they're at least like out on the table. You know what I mean? Because like I know that they are strong as shit. You know, so like I've seen people put them in with the snake. I'm like, ugh, I want to do that. Like, you know,
I almost feel like mites are like inevitable. At some point in your career, you will get mites. You know, you can be very careful. At some point in your career, you will get mites. So it's not a matter of if you will. It's if you were going to learn how to treat them. So my opinion is, in my opinion, the best treatment out there is fipronil. The half-life of fipronil is forever. So it's a long time, not forever. But we spray it around the house to kill bugs. I use it. I spray it on my dogs if they have if he had any bugs on him. We do is just preventative treatment. I actually spray my females with them after they lay eggs. The smell of it, again, they're going to be back on food within the week. So gives you a bag of mites. Hey, Kenny, didn't you buy a snake from the same guy I did? So me and Kenny bought snakes from the same guy, and they came in literally. It was a bag of mites. You open the bag, and the mites are just crawling out of there. We tossed the bag, burnt it, sprayed it, the snake down, soaked it in this fipronil, and you're watching all these mites float up. Now with fipronil, I do like to use a few drops of Dawn dish soap. The Dawn dish soap, again, I don't know the scientific things behind this, but the snake's scales will prevent water from going underneath their scales in between. And the Dawn dish soap helps to get really into those scales. Again, I don't know. In my opinion, in my mind, it works this way. And it really just helps all the mites float out. I've only had one major outbreak in my facility. It was 2021. We had come back from a show. We came back in at 6 in the morning. We're all dead ass tired. Unpacked all the animals, tossed them back in, and we're thinking in our head, you know what? It was. I'll tell you. I'll be honest with you guys. It was an NARBC show. We had just come back and we're like, it's NARBC. What are the odds we got mites at NARBC? Unload all of our animals. Sure enough, within the very next week, we're watching animals dunk into their water bowls. We're watching animals not eat. And then, we will really inspect. And the one way to inspect your collection is if you have a blue-eyed Lucy somewhere, open that tub. And that animal the mites, very easy to see. Open it. Sure enough, we had mites. And with our facility size and the amount of animals we had, I'm like, dude, we have to switch 1,000 animals over to paper towels. We have to spray down 1,000 animals, and and all this. And I'm like, for 2 weeks, it was a nightmare. I had to call all my customers and tell them we're not shipping. And we're just like, hey, we're delaying shipping for 2 weeks. We had to make sure all animals were 100% clear of mites. We had to cancel a show. That was 2 weeks after that. We ended up canceling that show. And so the cost of just dealing with that, again, mentally, physically, and then financially, just as soon as you get home from a show, just go ahead and treat all your animals, man. It's going to save you so much grief. So.
All right. Do you have a link where I can get that what was that? The SC stuff?
Yeah, I'll send you the link. Again, I just buy it online, so I'll send you the link. I buy this giant jug of it, but there's a smaller portion you can get too.
All right, awesome. No, I buy in bulk too. It's just cheaper. Yeah. I got the F10. I got the liter one, and that's just so expensive.
Why don't you get from Go for Coco, owned by Jean-Francois? Yeah, you guys deal with him?
Yeah, I deal with Billy. Yep.
Okay, yeah. So Jean-Francois also has a product called Safe 4, and it's phenomenal. Again, I just started using it recently after visiting him. I watched this man spray this product directly on a hypo puzzle breeder female, and then that convinced me, okay, this stuff is safe. Obviously, it's called Safe 4. And I'm cleaning tubs. Again, there's some tubs when we're spot cleaning. We're like, this one doesn't really need to be replaced. It barely pooped a little bit in the back. Just spray it on there, and literally it wipes everything right off. And he has all the scientific stuff for this. But all the zoos in Europe, a lot of the zoos in Europe used his product, because he actually took me to the Belgium Zoo, and I can see a bottle sitting on the chimpanzee counter that they use his product. So I knew it was safe, and
that must be the stuff Billy was talking about.
That's the stuff that Billy's talking. So Billy's trying to get the licensing for that, where so I obviously have my import license and stuff like that. I get the Go for Coco through Canada and stuff like that. So he said that last time I talked to him about that it was quite a while ago, but they were still working on the licensing for that to get it shipped into the United States. And the first people that are going to have access to that are going to be the Go for Coco distributors. So I will have access to that then. I do plan on, because he was saying that it's so that's what you were saying. They use it for the zoos, and vets use it, and you can just use it. You can just directly spray it on the snake, and it's completely safe for the animal and stuff. It's great. There's the link for it actually. Kenny just dropped the link for you guys in the chat, so I appreciate it, Kenny. Thank you so much for that. So check out that link if you guys are interested in that. It'll definitely help you out. I'm definitely going to be buying some of that for sure, because the reptile spray is getting hard to find, and if this is better, and you can just sit there and spray on everything, run it. You know what I mean? It's way better product.
Cheaper. I'll tell people it's not cheaper, but it is a better product.
Right. I mean, you get what you pay for. You know what I mean? Like, you know, like I got the F10, try that. Like that was expensive. I paid like $250 for 2 years of this stuff. You don't need much of it. I got enough to last me a long time. But after using it, like I was using the Freedom Breeder Cocoa at one point when I first started, and like some of my tubs and stuff were stained red. That freaking F10, dude, that there's no more stains on that tub, I'll tell you that. No more. So yeah, so
you use F10 mostly for cleaning, like just as wash tubs and stuff.
yep, that's it. I use that, and I use chlorhexidine to disinfect the actual rack, the on top of like the ventilation. Like I have the Freedom Breeder racks over here. I use that, and I'll wipe down. I take the chlorhexidine. So like my cleaning process was I take whatever extra tubs that I have. I clean out the extra tubs first, okay, and then I'll put the snakes in it or whatever as I'm cleaning. And then I'll pull out 6 tubs or whatever, freaking disinfect those, put the F10 in. I do a powerful 150 dilution on it, which is like 8 milliliters of F10 to like a bottle of water or whatever. Let it sit there. I'll spray it down. Let it sit. I spray the whole tub down outside. Let it sit for 5 minutes. It kills all the hard viruses on it. I'll put water in it. Then I'll start scrubbing it with my gloves on and stuff, because that stuff will agitate you for how strong it is.
Oh, yeah.
And then I freaking, then I'll dry them off. Well, before I do that, or whatever, I'm inside and I take the chlorhexidine and I pull my rack out and I'm completely disinfecting the whole rack. Like I'm wiping it down with the chlorhexidine. So by the time that I'm done outside with the F10 drying, doing that, putting the new cocoa in, my chlorhexidine is safe for snakes anyhow, but at least it's still dry.
Right.
So that was my new cleaning process, and it worked out really well. It took forever.
Yeah, I don't clean. I guess I haven't cleaned the racks themselves off as often as we probably want to.
Right.
All the tubs are we just use bleach. I'll be honest, we use bleach and water mix. Yeah. So I have a full set of replacement tubs for every time I buy a rack, I buy a whole another set of tubs. So we have 100% replacement tubs, and we go in, we swap out tubs, and then we have this huge mountain of tubs on Wednesday. Every week, there's this huge mountain of tubs, and my guys will go through, they spray bleach. It sits there for 5 minutes. They go in and glove up and scrub, and the bleach helps break everything down. A lot of the tubs, especially baby tubs, you're literally just spraying bleach, and then in 5 minutes, you're actually just like basically just rinsing them off.
Yep.
Then just, most of it just slides right off anyways.
Heck yeah, man. That's what's up. Yeah. So yeah, I started doing that, and I was, and once I started wiping stuff down, like with, especially like where your snakes are, like where that ventilation is, like that screen that's on top of your tub, like where it slides in and you got that ventilation thing. Like if you can get down there and actually start like, you spray your chlorhexidine or whatever you're using, you start wiping it, you look at that washcloth, you're like, shit, like, yeah, I need to do this more often. That was the first time I actually gotten deep into it, pulled it all the way out, got the front and back, did everything. And that washcloth, I was like, damn. Yeah. I'm like, this is going to be a regular thing now. I'm like, I was never doing that either.
I'm going to do that this week, actually. I'm going to get all the racks cleaned out this week.
Hell yeah, man. See, look at that.
We go through and now I should make that into like a quarterly thing at least and get every rack, cleaned out.
Yep. For sure. How often do you do change outs?
So we clean every week. It just depends on the animal. There are certain animals that only get cleaned out maybe once every other month, and there are clean animals that need to be changed out every week.
Right.
So it's very hard for people, and people are like, "Oh, how often are you changing out your tubs?" I'm like, dude, there are some animals that, in my opinion, are just shitheads. They just paint the tub. And every time, and you're just gonna have to, it puts its butt onto the corner of the tub and it just smear across, and then when it poops. And there are certain animals, literally just a pile right in the middle of the tub where you just go in and scoop it out, and that's it. And again, once your cocoa starts to discolor, everyone knows and loves that fresh brown cocoa, right? But once that cocoa gets dark and black and dark brown, it's time for that cocoa to go. It's old. It's kind of dingy and moldy looking. That needs to go. Even if that snake always only poops in the middle, that needs to go. So we're replacing it based on, like, again, I trust my guys' judgment. For the guys that work here, I trust their judgment. Okay, this tub is even though it's only been in here for 2 weeks, there's poop all over the side of the tub. Go ahead and replace it. Or a tub's been in there for 8 weeks, but it looks fresh. Then it's up to them on their judgment, and they know that we're in the animal business. And if I have guests over and I open one of the tubs in their area and they're going to be ashamed of it, then that tub should have been replaced. So that's basically the conversation with my guys. If you're going to be ashamed of your area and don't want me to look into certain area, then go ahead and replace that tub. That's pretty
right.
good.
How many employees do you have working for you right now?
Three full time. So I have 2 that are snake employees full time, and then I have one guy that does all rodents.
Okay, gotcha. So how long did it take you from when you first started? Well, okay, here's a better question, I guess, for you. At what point did you realize that it was too much where you hired your first person? So you did it for so long by yourself until you're like, okay, I'm hiring someone to help.
In 2020, as COVID hit, things got even busier for us. I thought it was actually going to slow down a lot, and it actually even got busier. So I hired my first full-time employee. He was already helping me part-time. Then I said, hey, man, just quit your job. He had a day job. So I was like, quit your day job and just help me full-time. So he switched over doing full-time. And then the year after that, we got our second employee. And then we hired Robert last year for rodents full-time. I was buying in rodents, which was fine, but it became less and less dependable.
Okay.
I don't mind paying for rats. However, if you're going to short me 300 smalls or 200 mice, then all of a sudden I have 300 animals that can't get fed this week. I absolutely hate that. So when I hired Robert, I actually met him through selling him snakes. I sold him some snakes. Then he called me one day and said, hey, I have 200 spare mice if you want them. I've been breeding them in my shed. I went over and checked out his shed. It's literally just a shed with a few racks in it, and he's cranking out hundreds of mice. And I'm like, dude, how much do you make a year? And he goes, oh, about 50 grand. I'm like, hear me out. For 50 grand, just come work for me. You just stay home and breed rats all day. So I ended up hiring him full-time to breed rats for us. And it's been awesome. He breeds all the rats at his place, drives them over here on Monday. We feed, he takes them back home. I don't even have to ever deal with it.
That's awesome, man.
Yeah, freaking awesome.
Will said, I got tons of chlorhexidine from the hospital wife works at because they throw away full bottles of it and it's medical grade, not the 5% on Amazon.
Oh, snap. I haven't thought about that. I need to tell my wife to get some from the hospital.
There you go. There's another one that I saw up here. Oh, right here. He said, is F10 stronger? Yes, F10 is way stronger than chlorhexidine, depending on how you dilute it. But F10 is so strong, it can possibly kill your animal if you don't do it right.
Ooh, yeah, that.
So that's why I sit there and I glove up, and even like me gloving up, and I'll tell you a story. So this is how strong it is. Okay, so when I was spraying, I was outside and I'm spraying all these tubs down or whatever, using the water and stuff like that. Well, you have the runoff of the water, so obviously that chemical is still in there in the water that's on the ground a little bit. I had my shoes on. And at the time, I was being really stupid. I didn't really think about that. I'm in these wet socks. I'm doing this for like 12, 13 hours right now. It's just me doing it. And my feet just start to kind of like burn a little bit, because then I started thinking, maybe I should wear my steel toes. So, yeah. So if you sit there in that stuff long enough, like it won't burn you, but you'll feel it. It'll be like a chemical tingly, like where chlorhexidine. I still use gloves and stuff, but I'm not sensitive for it. I use the chlorhexidine to mop and stuff like that as well. I dilute it and all that. So I use
it between my hands.
Yeah. So chlorhexidine, it does have like Tammy said, it does have a shorter shelf life when it is diluted and mixed, but it is really good. I do what Ken does. He said I only mixed up a quarter of a spray bottle at a time. I use a gallon jug. I took a gallon of a milk jug, emptied it out, rinsed it out, and did it that way. And then I just pour the milk jug in my mop water or put it in a spray bottle and spot clean, just whatever. So it does. It's really nice. Like we're F10. There ain't no way in hell I do that because that stuff is strong.
Yeah. So 2-gallon like pump sprayer. And I do that for people to use for cleaning.
Yes, sir. All right. We talked about taxes. Talk about some.
I was going to throw this out about the employees question. The moment you realize you need an employee is when you're either losing money because you're having to do stuff that you can hire someone else to do, like washing tubs. So I was realizing I'm spending 5-6 hours a week washing my own tubs, and I'm like, man, I could be posting Morph Market right now. I could be answering emails. I could be making sales, and then stuff like that. And then the moment that you should either hire somebody or downsize is when your animals are not being 100% taken care of. And in 2020, I was like, I noticed, and again, it's not like it's gross or anything, but I'm like, man, these tubs should be already washed. I should have been already done cleaning these racks. And there's a lot of things I'm like, man, I'm so behind on this stuff. And these animals are not getting the best care they can be. That's when you either need to downsize or hire help. And again, those are your choices, you know.
Or like you said, like I noticed that like I have a part-timer for my rats and stuff. I have a nice little rat setup. You know, I got like 50 something animals and stuff, you know, that I do by myself. And it got to the point like where the rats were just almost too much at a time. Like where I said I work 12s during in a factory too. I'm just like, oh man, I could be doing other stuff. You know, time is money, money is time, guys. What one do you want? You're not gonna have both. So we're gonna take a quick commercial break. We're gonna talk about some jeans and some snakes. I think that sounds like a really good idea. So stay tuned, guys. We're gonna play this video real quick, even though it's not Morph ID Wednesday. It's still on there, but it's still one of my more favorite videos.
So you're not a breeder 1 level, you're a breeder 2, you know, and you start seeing things, oh my God. And when things start doing well and you're hitting the odds and you're making money, what are you going to do? You're going to fucking spend more.
A couple years ago, some people probably remember it was a black pastel, leopard yellow belly, DG hypo.
I mean, it's just one of those things. It's just like, man, that's crazy. That wasn't the video I was thinking of, but it's okay. I still like that video. Whoa disappeared. He thought the video was going to be longer. He knew what I was going to play. I'll play it real quick so that way Will can have a chance. We'll do one more real quick.
We got the love, we got the fire. Life's a game, starts taking us higher. Feeling strong, no time to tire. Living dreams like our own empire. Moving fast, no looking back. Hearts on track, never slack. Hand in hand, we got the knack. Together we light up the pack.
Don't forget to hit that subscribe button because we're doing a 1,000 subscriber giveaway. When we hit it, we're close. Now I got some new people in here, so if you would subscribe, I'd appreciate it. Trying to hit that 1,000. I want to talk about some jeans now. We're talking about some ball pythons. First thing I want to.
What is that?
What? Yeah. What is that? Do we do that here? I don't know. Kind of weird. We catch up on comments real quick. Have kids. No reason to have kids.
No, that is not a reason to have kids.
No. I mean it can be. I mean I like to have one just to hand something that I built down, which kind of sucks, you know, I don't have no one to take it over, but I don't think my sister's gonna be too much into it or whatever. So but I mean she's 18, so by the time if I were to pass, she'd be up there too. So my daughter is honestly the one who got me into this and does a lot of this. Oh yeah, I remember you. Yep, Candy, I remember you saying that. Oh yeah, okay, yeah. So we got a lot of topics here. So first one I want to talk about, though, I'm gonna star this one here so I don't forget about it, Kenny. First one I want to talk about. I mentioned to it in the chat actually. The voodoo gene. Okay. I want your intake on this because I do bring people on as well, but I just discovered this and stuff. Do you think? So here is Bob's Super Voodoo Mojave. Okay. And then here is what I produced, which is I have it labeled as a Mojave Sugar Yellow Belly Nanny. It could be GHI. I don't think that's a GHI version of it. I think I have it in my rack. But it still has the Nanny in it, and they're pretty similar. I don't know what you think, Bob. I was talking to Kenny about it because Kenny does work Nanny a lot and stuff, and I know it's different. He said it's different in clown. Do you think maybe it's an Wheelit combo? Have you done anything to prove this out?
I bred a Nanny to a voodoo, and I got animals, in my opinion, that I can tell were a Nanny or a voodoo.
Okay.
I'm gonna try to shoot you over a picture here and see if we can do anything with this. Hopefully, I have this picture on my phone. Here it is. Here's one, and here is the other. Let's just try those two for now. So the reason I've had Nanny, I've owned Nanny. I bought Nanny specifically to breed to Voodoo. I actually bought Grim, and then I bought, what's the other one? Shrapnel. I bought all of them to breed back to Voodoo just to see. The only gene, in my opinion, that's going to be closest to Voodoo is Hatari. And I don't own a Hatari to breed.
Yeah, that's what Ken was saying. So real quick, so show me. Here's a picture. So you want to?
Yeah, so that's the Voodoo Clown. That's so compared to the what's the
Yanny?
Yeah, compared to the Grim Clown or compared to the that's a Voodoo Hypo.
Okay.
So comparing it to the others, the Nanny or now the Carnage or whatever you want to call it now.
Yeah. Yep.
Comparing the clown version is totally different animals. And then the hypo version is totally different animals. Again, I own nannies, so I've done it. But so in my opinion, again, just probably different lines of extreme granites. Again, Voodoo is what I can. Oh, you know what? I lied to you. I think the closest thing to a Voodoo is the Pixel gene.
Okay, yeah, I did hear that from Kenny, the one that runs the Nanny / Carnage group. I can't think of his last name. Yeah.
I was having dinner with him in Puerto Rico 3 weeks ago.
Yeah, I talked to him and stuff, and I asked him about it when I'm like, hey, I'm like Bob has this, and like here's the I know you work Nanny. I'm like, I'm not too familiar with Voodoo. I'm like, to me, like that looks very similar. I mean, I'm not saying it's the same because there are slight differences a little bit, like when you start mixing it with combos and stuff. So I just wanted to ask you, like in person, like that's just how I am and stuff like that, so I can hear it, so we can hear it from the source on the channel. You know what I mean?
In my opinion, they
yeah,
are
they're way
separate
different.
genes. The closest thing to Nanny maybe would be what's the other one? I'm drawing a blank. But yeah, I would say Voodoo is closest to Pixel. And the reason nobody's heard of the Atari or the what's the super, it's a Hatari and Atari. And the reason no one's heard of those was because the guy that originated them was Sean Bradley. And at the peak of the Atari project, Sean actually retires. So then the project just went and disappeared, and no one really worked with him. After that, I want to say Chris Davenport got a hold of it. And I know Justin Weinrich down in Florida from Morph Jungle has some, but haven't really seen much out of them. Haven't seen a clown, haven't seen a DG. I have produced Pro DG and clowns out of Voodoo so far, and I'm waiting for all these other genes to produce there so we can compare them.
Okay.
So hopefully, once we can compare them and see which ones are similar or different.
Awesome.
I don't know if they're going to combine the names or anything like that, because I don't see in any world where there's going to be a combination of names, just like Lesser and Butter. We know they're genetically identical genes,
right?
We still have
to keep it one name,
right? The difficulty of that, right? Like let's say Confusion, Static, and Acid. Which one of these guys are you going to ask to say, hey, we like Confusion better, so now you have to give up your name that you named this gene?
Yeah,
on the same year as the other guys, because this is what happens to almost every new gene. The guy that finds the gene, even if it's a guy Noah from Africa, he's gonna have 4 animals. He's gonna sell them to 4 different people and tell them this is new. No one else has it.
Right.
And in 3 years, those guys are gonna be like, hey guys, this new gene. I'm calling it this. And then wait, is this a coral glow? But this is a banana. I'm the only one with them. No, I'm also the only one with them.
Right.
That's why we have all these multiple names, is because guys like that will ship 2 animals out. Again, can't blame them. You're paying them 50 grand a piece. He's going to give you both a chance. And then a lot of times they do this is because one guy's going to screw it up and kill the animal. So
that's a very interesting concept with that, because I have the concept of that. Because genetic, I'm sure you know, because you've been in this game way longer than I have. I do a lot of research. I'm into this pretty heavy. I take pride in what I do and stuff too, just like you do, and Will's with me and stuff like that. So I try to post as much like true information or even like rumors that I may know so that the public's aware. The gorilla and stuff is a lot like a lot like genetic blackback.
Big blackback. Yeah.
It is. I have one. I'm gonna prove it. I got a girl. I got a granite genetic blackback. Carr is buying a female to breed to one of his. So we're gonna try to reproduce this, and then we're gonna also breed it to one to try to prove this out.
I'm doing the same thing with my gorilla.
What was that?
I'm doing the same thing.
Yeah. So I can see the similarities of it. The thing that makes it very hard is that genetic blackback is polygenic. So I'm thinking that since it's polygenic is what we learned with the DG, you guys, you have your different grades of it. It wouldn't surprise me if gorilla is a polygenetic version of the genetic blackback. When I was talking to Billy about this and stuff, because he's the one that brought it up to my attention. And I'm like, all right, like I want to be a legit breeder. I'm gonna do legit things. Let's bring it out to the public and let's freaking prove it out. Because by then or whatever, like shed testing for this isn't gonna be available. It's gonna be quicker for me to try to prove this out by breeding.
Right. Talking genetic testing, right? I see in the comments someone said, "Hey, confusion tested different than acid."
Right.
Yes, but genetic testing also thought there was 3 different DGs when there's not.
Correct.
We don't know what we think like, well, oh, for sure, these got to be different genes. No, maybe you're actually looking at a codom gene that's actually polygenic. Remember, codominant genes can be polygenic when recessive genes cannot be.
Yes, and genetic blackback is actually one of them because genetic blackback is not recessive, guys.
Right.
It was worked with way back in the day, and it just kind of fell off. So either I'm going to do one of 3 things. Either I'm going to sit there and prove that they are different. I'm going to sit there and prove that they're kind of the same, or I'm going to sit there. I'm going to bring back genetic blackback. I'm going to make some cool ass shit.
That's the goal. At the end of the day.
Yeah, that's the goal, man. I mean, like, because like I was talking to Billy's a great guy. I got his number and stuff like that. He goes, he's like, you didn't buy that animal for what you paid for it. You bought it because it looked cool. Right. I'm like, yeah, you're 100% correct. He's like, that's the goal. He's like, just make some cool shit. He's like, the best advice I heard from him or whatever and stuff like that was, like nobody, since I've been in the game, he's like, nobody wanted red stripe. Nobody wanted spot nose. You couldn't even give that shit away, he said. And then Justin comes over here and makes some of these cool ass combos. Now everyone wants it and the price goes up on it.
Yep.
So, I mean, we'll see what happens. Except I do see the similarities of it. I said it could be the polygenetic version of it. It wouldn't surprise me, honestly, the way that it's going. She's slamming food, man. Here,
one of your comments earlier in there, someone asked about, and I love your comment. You bought it because you love the potential of that gene.
Yeah.
So someone mentioned the zebra and Mackenzie.
Okay, I know you work Mackenzie.
I have zebras too.
I have a zebra too. I just laid the triple heads. I just got it was a leopard DG hypo to a zebra, and she just laid. I would be cutting that clutch.
Nice. Very nice.
Yeah, I'll be cutting that clutch here in 40-ish days because she literally just laid not too long ago. So I got double. I'm hoping. I don't know. So with that and stuff, like I think to me, I don't know. Like I haven't seen Mackenzie age that well. I think zebra ages better than Mackenzie.
How many adult super Mackenzies have you seen?
I've just seen pictures. I haven't seen them in person. Right. So it's different.
That's the difficulty, right? Because Mackenzie itself, terrible name to start with, wasn't marketed at all.
Right.
It was found in a wholesale lab, right? It's a wholesale facility that discovered the gene. So they didn't work anything to it. Even till this day, there's only like a handful of Super Mackenzie combos. There are more zebra combos out there than Super Mackenzie combos.
Because of the price, but they look very similar. I think to me personally, I think Mackenzie looks a little bit different than zebra, but I think zebra looks a lot like striker.
I'll tell you, striker looks more like zebra than zebra.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like the striker, like I've seen some striker combos and shit, and I've even tested Carr. I'm like, hey, what is this? Oh, that's a zebra. I'm like, nah, dude, like, that's a Super Mackenzie.
I'll tell you right now, it doesn't matter to me in which way. If Mackenzie proves to not be zebra, great. Now I have all Mackenzies. because I probably own 30% of all the Mackenzies on the market. I bought them all. I bought there was one for sale that's decent. I bought it, and I have zebra clowns coming. I have zebra pies already hatched and all this stuff. I have a Mackenzie het zebra animal, and I'll send you a picture of that later. And so if it proves to be different, great. I bought into Mackenzie because I like the way the gene looks, not because of the price point. I understand the hesitancy of wanting the genes to be the same. And I don't care if the genes are the same or not. But if the genes prove to be the same, I can see why it would hurt the zebra project. It won't really hurt the Mackenzie project. It would just hurt the zebra project. That's why I haven't been very vocal about expressing my opinion on it.
So with that being said, okay, so I have a theory on this. Do you see if let's say that they do end up, because I know that they're working on the shed testing, okay? So let's say that they do end up being DNA the same. Does Mackenzie go up in price, or do they meet halfway in the middle where zebra goes down and they meet?
Zebra's been on the downward trajectory already, right? The price of zebra's already been falling some.
Yes.
Mackenzie, there's not even enough of them on market, honestly, to really matter that much. There's like 40, 30 available. I just don't think it will go up that much. It will go up some, and you're gonna see people buy them up, and as people buy them all up, and then if once genetically proven to be the same, most of the people buying them up, everything they produce after that, they're just gonna call zebra anyways, because honestly, a better name. It's a better name to the project. If they're genetically proven to be the same, I have no problem with you changing your name to the project.
Yeah, 100%. I agree that. Man, I'm behind on these comments and stuff, guys. Sorry. We're having a good podcast right now. We're having a good deep talk. Yeah, I prefer the zebra name over the Mackenzie.
For sure.
Acid and Confusion. I prefer the Acid name over Confusion.
I like the Acid name myself. When Josh Jensen, because I talked to Josh when he found the gene.
What's up, Reggie?
I told him I love the name. I love all the combo names he was coming up with. But because, and I'll be honest, the downfall of the gene was when Justin decides to buy Confusion over Acid, and everyone went to Confusion because of that.
So yeah, so I mean, as you know, and Justin does have a deep influence on the market.
For sure.
So like if he buys something, that price is going to go up because he's working it.
Right.
He's pretty much the leader of this industry and stuff like that. It's pretty much like, if he does something hot, everyone's going to chase it. Well, the problem is don't sit there and chase what he's doing because he's already 50,000 steps ahead of you. By the time that you make it or you hit it or whatever, the price is going to plummet so much because everyone's doing it.
He said this the other day to me in a post. He said, if you chase because we're talking about the clown, the puzzle clown. And he said, if everybody just chased the same target animal, once you actually produce that animal, now you got to split your profits with the other 1,000 people chasing that project.
Yeah.
Or you can chase your own project and hope that it comes out cool. Because there's been some projects, man. I made super cypresses before anyone else ever did. I produced the first super cypresses, and it was the biggest disappointment ever because every super cypress I had wobbled. And obviously we hope it came out cool, and it came out beautiful. It's a beautiful snake. And Justin was the first one to inquire on it. I priced him out at $5,000. I showed him the animal, and it started doing a little bit of this, and he says, "Nope, I'm out." And I said, "I totally understand." I mean, every super cypress we produce does this. And, and so sometimes you chase projects and it doesn't work out. But again, when you do, just like the red stripe stuff, man, I bought 10 breeder red stripe females for $1,000 from Outback Reptiles because nobody wanted them. People were giving them away as normals. No one wanted a single gene red stripe. I bought 10 breeder females for $100 a piece. And literally within 2 years, their price went up so high. I sold 2 of the breeder females off for $2,000 a piece because people are just begging for these things. And I'm like, dude, all you're gonna do is make heads. You're gonna breed a clown to it. That's fine. I didn't really care. But yeah, we made a ton of money on red stripes because of that. So a lot of times, timing, vision, and stuff like that really does affect your.
It does. Does Powerball have the same wobble? It depends. I've seen Powerballs that have wobble. I've seen ones that have not. I know that Miguel from Always Evolving Pythons had he actually hit the Powerball clutch or whatever, and they didn't really have wobble to him. Now I've seen other people that did I mean, I think it's just one of those hit or miss things. What do you think?
I won't say the same percentage as like hatching an okay super black pastel. Like hatching a healthy Powerball and hatching a healthy super black pastel, probably say close to the same number.
Yeah.
1 out of 10.
So it's like spider. I have a couple spiders. Well, I sold one of them. Neither one of them had a wobble, until they went to eat, and then you could see them shake.
We didn't have a wobble yet. I was gonna say until they excite and they wobble.
But I mean, I had one I had a bamboo inchy spider that was horrible. Like it would corkscrew, it would lay upside down, but it ate and it bred perfect.
Yeah.
I wanted the bamboo out of it, and I got one bamboo and ended up selling it because
spider, the gene that could have been.
That's what. Yeah,
it's in my logo.
Yeah, the gene that could have been. I was like into spider. I'm like, man, those spiders are cool because like when I first started getting into it, I was watching, like when you're new and stuff, like Chris Hardwick back in the day, like how do you explain genes, how to ID them and stuff, like that helped me. But then like, you start worrying that spider has this wobble and stuff. I'm like, man, that sucks. So I stayed away from that. And I mean, it could have a lot more potential. Powerballs are really cool looking. 100%. Especially get some combos in them.
And also spider wasn't because of the wobble that killed its potential. The two genes that carry the most potential in the industry of ball pythons is pied and clowns.
Yeah.
If you suck in clowns and you suck in pied, you're probably not going to do well. And the spider clown, in my opinion, is too reduced. Spider pied is most of the time all white, like I mentioned, the white wedding. So if the gene itself is not good in clown and pied, it's a huge detriment to the gene. So
yeah, 100%. So do you think that puzzle is going to take a hit now? With the puzzle clowns and like what they came out, because I don't know if you watched that RGI video with Justin. Justin said he produced one in 2022. He didn't know what it was, and they shed tested it, whatever. It's actually a puzzle clown. You couldn't even tell.
Right. So puzzle is on a different tier because it's a recessive, first of all, and it already does a little bit of what clown does. Right. It almost interacts like a cryptic, and so maybe you don't have to stack those two genes. My concern is that will it look good in pied? Because if you don't look good in clown, you gotta look good in pied.
Yeah, that's how. Yeah,
and that's how it should be. Like spot nose, terrible in pied, great in clown. Leopard, terrible in pied, great in clown, in my opinion. So there's certain genes that are good with one and bad with the other, and it does fine. But with puzzle, you have a lot of options because it doesn't ruin the snake. It gives you a good palette to work with. So you still got DG, hypo. And all those things to work with still.
Like the one that Brock brought over at Tinley, it was that sunset puzzle. Like that looked great. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think your puzzle is going to end up going into now unless you could find, like I said, it just takes that one gene combo. Like, hey, here's a puzzle clown that has whatever into it, and boom, there it is. Like, oh shit, we got to have that now. Like now, people are on it, and now people are chasing that.
Right.
I mean,
that's probably gonna be like a busier. Again, doing leopard is a disservice to those genes because leopard clowns already reduced pattern. You're adding another reduction pattern on top with puzzle, so you have two reduced pattern clowns, which again, in my opinion, is not a good looking clown. Like an Enchi leopard clown, in my opinion, is too reduced. Yes. So I think you need a busy gene. You need a black pastel puzzle clown or a spot nose puzzle clown. Yeah. Something busy, I think, will make it pop.
I think so too. I don't think that project's going to be dead yet. People are still going to work with it. They're going to find it. You can kind of subtitle like see the puzzle in it if you look carefully. If you know kind of what you're looking for, there is a little bit of difference because it does brings up those alien head. I mean, they're not really alien heads, but it brings up that pattern up towards a dorsal from what I've seen with the puzzle.
But we don't know that. So there's only one example been produced that could have just been that answer. So we don't know.
You don't know. You got polymorphism too.
Right.
You know what I mean? So like, there could be something else out there, or like maybe you can have like a different version of it that has a better version of it because the polymorphism is just like, wow. Like maybe that was just a bad example. We don't know.
One that he produced is the bottom tier of puzzle clowns. And there's like a nice version of it, somewhere.
Will said Randy is a banana yellow belly something puzzle clown. He said that thing's insane. It said it's been tested and confirmed.
Wow. You know what? That does suck. If you have to genetic test it just to find out if it's
that does suck.
Yeah, that does suck.
That's where you have a problem. Like now, it's like if it's that bad, or you have to genetically test it. Like I'm gonna do this puzzle clutch or whatever, but I got 6 eggs. Now I gotta sit there and genetically test them. I mean, is that something that you really want to chase? I don't think me personally, I don't think puzzle is going to do good in pied. I just don't. Like if it's doing that much, like this clown's powerful, pie's powerful. Like what is puzzle obviously going to add into pie? Like is it going to be reduced? It could just be a head stamp. We don't freaking know.
We could just be a white head stamp, like leopard.
It could be like Enchi, and it could bring pattern back.
You don't know. I can't wait to see it because someone's going to do it.
I lied to you. The puzzle pied is high white. Barry Swope made it last year.
Oh, okay, yeah, because Ken said puzzle pie looked like a pie with puzzle head.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah, Barry Swope made it last year.
No, Ken, I don't think puzzle's going to take a dive because you still have hypo. I have a hypo puzzle. Amazing quality. I have
the puzzle is like phenomenal.
Yeah. The sunset puzzle looked great. I'm not even into sunset, nor do I really care for it, but Will does. But I think the sunset puzzle, you add DG hypo into it. You gotta go a different route. The puzzle gene will not take a dive.
I don't think so.
I don't think so either. The market is correcting itself. Like, oh well, the market's down or the prices are down. Well, yeah, that's what happens when everyone's freaking breeding.
There's just not enough been done with it to say it's going to take a dive.
Yeah.
There's not enough codons been put into it with different recessives.
Like, have you sat there? Have you sat there and is puzzle and bongo? I love bongo. You know, bongo's fun. Yeah,
and bongo and clown is phenomenal.
Yeah, bongo and clown is amazing. So maybe you just get a bongo puzzle clown. Boom, there you go. There's a secret ingredient.
Right?
You can't sit there and say that puzzle is going to take a dive off of one snake.
Right.
You can't. You don't have enough of a gene pool. Like, okay, so if you start stacking these genes and now it starts looking like crap or whatever, okay, maybe. Okay. But freaking, like I said, freaking, it's not going to be, you can't base it off of one animal.
That was like the monsoon pies. Everybody was like, oh, monsoon. It all looks the same. And then you get the monsoon pie and that thing's amazing.
Yeah. It's going to take that right combo, but now you kind of know what to look for and what to expect. So you know what way not to take it.
Mm-hmm.
Don't put Enchi in it. Enchi in puzzles garbage anyhow, I think. It reduces the puzzle too much. It sucks.
You're adding a reducer gene on top of a gene that you need pattern on.
Yeah. Puzzle is a pattern gene, so add spot nose to it. Add red stripe, add bongo, add something that's
Schumann and Sons.
What was that?
You know Schumann?
No.
The breeder? He has made a blackhead puzzle combo, and it's phenomenal.
Yeah.
I'll find it. You guys keep talking real quick.
Okay. Yeah, wait. Let's take a quick commercial break by. He does this real quick. We'll be right back. All right, we're back.
He made het red Azanthic, black head, black pastel puzzle. I was gonna show you the picture, but then I was like, "What if he doesn't want me to show you the picture?" So he said they will be in Tinley to be shown off. So
okay, so in October,
yeah, and he has super blackhead puzzles and stuff like that coming up. So in October, he will be showing those off in Tinley.
Jen says puzzle might be like monsoon in the sense that it makes more sense to alternate with color morphs and other busy codons. I think puzzle is versatile enough that it doesn't need clown or pie. I agree. I don't. Puzzle by itself looks good if you have a good quality puzzle.
Yeah.
If you have a good quality single gene puzzle that it looks freaking great. Yes. Now, if you have a shitty freaking puzzle, that's puzzle, but the pattern is not busy and it sucks, you're gonna have shitty looking babies. That's just facts.
Genetics.
I mean, that happens with clowns too. I've
Yeah,
seen
and that's anything. Yeah, 100%.
I'm not a fan of blade clowns. I'll be honest. I don't like blade clowns.
I'm not either.
I
I'm
just
not
don't-
a fan. I'm not either. I don't like blade clowns either. I don't like blade
When
at
I
all.
first started into this, I liked the blade clowns.
Yep.
Because it was different looking, but the more I dove into it and the more I've gotten into it, I agree. I don't.
Yeah, it was that first wave of like about like I want to say 8-10 years ago. Blade clowns were a huge thing because like everyone wants a reduced pattern and more orange, more yellow. And then now we're figuring out that in order for clowns to look good, in our opinion, for clowns to look good, you want that busy contrast, like reds and oranges to really pop. You need to take blade out of there and add black pastel. You need to add spot nose and the red stripe and all the things that add flames to it. And now we're figuring out, hey, some of these leucistic genes work really well in there. Special, Phantom, Mocha, and all these genes are adding really well in there. So we're figuring one more thing. Again, we have to figure out what we personally like and what the market likes too. Again, it's fine to just breed what you personally like, but other people might not like it, which is fine until you have to go sell things.
Well, like I said, I tell people too, like, yeah, you might like it. The general public may not accept it or may not be like, it takes that one buyer. That's it. It just takes one buyer. That's all it takes. I mean, that's interesting. What's up, Morph? I said, hey, what's up?
More Ford.
Yeah, more Ford says, what's up, Bob, Will, and Glenn? Cars yet to pop in. I don't think cars are no go for today. Are you into Rainbow? What do you think about Rainbow and Ultramel, Bob?
I was for a little bit. A good friend of mine, Carlos, had a ton of rainbow stuff, and he's one of the originators of the rainbow gene. And we had a lot of difficulties getting our rainbows up to size. We're having issues with them, the survivability of the gene. We hatched 3 rainbow pies, and out of the 3, only 1 survived till adulthood. So, and again, it's not like we don't know what we're doing over here. And so the rainbow gene itself, we've actually just eliminated from our collection.
Really? Because you had problems with it and stuff, huh?
I just personally had problems with them. I don't know if that's like all across the board. I had a few other breeders tell me the same thing. But then I also had breeders in Europe with a different line of rainbows maybe that did great with theirs. So it might have just been, our line was weak or something like that. Our babies are coming out of the egg and dying after a few weeks. Failure to thrive, just didn't eat. And they were even worse than our first few confusion combos we got in originally.
Really? Do you think that, that's what Will said. He said that's why I held off on getting rainbow. Heard lots of people saying they failed to thrive. So
again, I'm not talking bad about the gene. If you have it and you can get them to thrive, maybe you have a better line. My original line that I got in might have been bad. And, everything we produced was like, great. We had a clutch of 8 babies and we'll get 2 of them to live. And it was just,
it wasn't worth it.
It's very disheartening. Yeah.
Yeah. It takes a toll on us breeders and stuff because, like Bob said, like he's sitting there, like Rainbow's recessive. So he's sitting there working projects and stuff, 6 years, 5 years, 7 years, whatever it may be. And for you to sit there and you get these eggs, like you're excited, you're pumped up, fuck yeah. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like that's the same thing. Like when I had the zebra lay, like whether Mackenzie or not, I don't give a shit. Like I spent some money on that. And this was like one of my biggest purchases at the time. And I'm like, fuck yeah, dude. I'm like, let's go. And if I sit there and she slugs out or if the baby's still like, I'm disheartened, like no matter what.
Right.
And that's the same thing what Bob's saying. Like he's sitting there like, hey, I put in this time, this money, this taking care of them, feeding them, the tub clean and stuff like that. And for these babies to die like that, like that's hard. It's hard as a breeder. It makes you. Will's heard me 20 times. I don't know. I'm sure you probably had it maybe at one point, Bob, when you first started. Maybe not. But like, I'm gonna get the fuck out of this. I'm pissed off.
Oh, I quit so many times between getting started up until like 2016, 17, when like quitting wasn't an option anymore. Like after I like depend on this financially 100%, like where quitting's not an option, and obviously now quitting's not an option. But before then, dude, I quit like every other week. I've dropped a box of rats in my room one time, walking in, and I tripped over something. The whole box of rats just fucking everywhere in the snake room. In my snake room. Now they're behind the racks, they're behind the stuff, and I'm like, just like I couldn't catch them all, and it was just a terrible day. And I'm in there with a hook trying to hook these rats out from behind the racks. If you go into your rodent room and your AC burns out, you're gonna want to quit. You know,
had it happen.
Yeah, you go in and there's a flood because a rat escaped and chewed up all your water line. I've had, you know, stuff like that just makes you want to quit. But in my opinion, if you have made enough friends in the industry where you would almost be ashamed to quit. You have so many good friends in the industry, you can't even tell them you're going to quit, you know, stuff like that. And again, I have friends that pick me up. I have friends where when all my rats died, I had one summer, I heard the alarm go off, and by the time I got out to my rat room, it was already 130 degrees in there. All my rats baked. It smelled horrible. We lost every single rodent we had. And I was like, well, shit, it's over. You know, how am I going to even feed my stuff? And, you know, I told all my friends about it. I had guys drive 3 hours to my house with 200 rats in their truck. I had people, you know, bring rodents in from, you know, people I barely know, some of them. And they're just bringing me rats, breeder rats, you know, to help me get started back. So I think if you have good friends and a good community, it will keep you in this longer, just past that little hump. Because every now and then there's a hump. And just that community will help you get past that hump of thinking you want to quit. And then all of a sudden you have a clutch hatch. Then you have eggs. Then, you know, that'll keep you going.
Yep. Or you buy that new snake that you wanted or something like that. Like, that'll keep you going. Like, I say it probably, I think me building the channel to what it is today, like for me to have to post a video like, hey, I'm done. I think it would be very disheartening for all the hard work I've done, all the subscribers, the podcasts that we put together, people that we've had on it. Like you said, like I've came home from a 12-hour day on third at the time. I was working thirds in the morning. I come home and all my rat lines are chewed up and stuff. I got water everywhere, and I'm like, I got to take care of them. You know, you can't. They're rats, even though they're rats, and like they're still animals and stuff. I can't let them. You know, I can't be put off. So I spend another, you know, 2 hours, 3 hours rerunning lines and stuff and redoing it. It's just like fuck, you know, and it does. You know, it's very disheartening. You're gonna have your problems and stuff, and it does suck.
And that's not it will happen to you. It will happen to you at some point.
Oh, it will, 100%, 100%, man. I mean, it sucks, and there's times like where I'm just, you know, like we've had me and Will go to, like we're at 20. I don't know, probably by now we're probably at like 30.
We're over 30. Yeah.
We're over 30 for the year that we go to around the area and stuff that we've been. And we had 2 of them cancel, you know, and now I sat there and I lost my Go for Cocoa customers at those expos at one point. And I'm just like, dude, like, is this even worth it? Like, I'm fucking pissed. Like, I get the expos and stuff, like they gotta make money and shit too, but I'm just like, I just want to get out.
I mean, the one was canceled because the venue canceled their contract.
Right, that wasn't their fault. But they run 2 others as well, so it's not a total loss, but it's just that area. But like, there's another expo that's by that area, so we were okay. And then the other one that they ran 2. Like, we had a pretty decent customer base over there, but they can just go to the other show as well. So I mean, it's not a total loss. But then you have people that are like, oh well, you know, I got, you know, the cocoa from somewhere else, whatever, at this other expo. It's like, well, fuck. Like, I needed that money to re-up or for my import, you know, for this new shipment and stuff. Like, it sucks. Yeah, it's very disheartening, you know.
Speaking of shows, you mind if I plug my show in before we?
100%. I was going to ask you about that, actually. When is that show?
The show is September 14th and 15th. It's the weekend after the Dallas.
Oh, I'll be down in West Virginia, dude.
What show you have in West Virginia?
It's Chris's. This is new one that he said the third. He said what did you say it was?
15th. Yeah. Oh, well, yeah, that's right. Chris is like 10 hours away from me. I actually ended up talking to him with you maybe last week about it.
I live right by Chris Brown.
Okay.
I'm right by. I'm actually in the same city. Yeah, he invited me over there to go down there and stuff like that. But I would be very interested in venuing your shows though, for sure.
Yeah. So this is our first show. It's in Atlanta, and the only reason we hosted it, again, I didn't want to become a show promoter, I'll be honest. It doesn't sound fun. And it was a lot of fun to get started. And the reason we did it was because we used to have a show called Reptilian Nation here. We had it last 2 years, great shows. The promotion was great. Then I couldn't get a straight answer out of the promoter. His name's Ryan. And I was like, hey, when's the show coming back? Because I'm trying to book my schedule for the next year. You know, I'm trying to get everything straightened up. And I asked him that in December. Then comes January, February, March. And in February, when I met with him at a show in West Palm, I was like, hey, when's the Atlanta show? I want to start promoting it, and we want to really build this thing up, and I want to do an auction at the end. And because I do the USARC auctions, and we raise $20,000, $30,000 in Georgia every time.
Right.
And his son comes up to me and says, hey, man, we don't want to come back to that jankety city. They don't want to go back to Atlanta. And I was like, I understand. Parts of Atlanta, you just got to grow to love. It's and I told him, like, hey, man, you guys make a lot of money here. A lot of people depend on it. And I was like, rethink it. And then so I texted Ryan. I was like, hey, man, what's going on with the show? And he goes, well, the venue, Buddha's was giving him a lot of problems. And he said that venue is shady. They're overcharging him and all this stuff, so he didn't pay. And I said, let's find a different venue. So we went and looked at different venues. And I didn't hear from him for 2 months about it. And I had 3 other vendors send me emails from Reptilian Nation saying that they're not going to come back to Atlanta. And I'm like, dude, that's the only show in Atlanta I do, because I don't do show me shows and I don't do Repticons. They're in my opinion, they're great shows. Still, the Repticons is actually growing again. So they're getting a lot of people through the door, but they were too small for me to drag my entire setup out there. Like, if I want to drag my entire setup, I need to see 5,000 people.
Right.
So I called the venue that he was at before, and the venue was sit down. I was like, hey, can you guys have a sit down with me? And they're like, no, we don't want to deal with reptile people. And I'm like, what do you mean? You just had a show there, last year. And I actually asked the director of sales if I can sit and just talk to her. And so I came out there to have a face-to-face meeting, and she said, we don't want to deal with reptile people. And if you're with Reptilian Nation, we don't want any business. And I was like, what happened? They didn't give me the whole story, but I guaranteed her that we're a different entity. And I said, I don't even do shows. I told her straight up, I've never done a show before. This is new to me. And she says, you know what? Because of that, we're actually going to give you a chance to book this, because if it's a learning experience for you, you can only do it right from the beginning. I'm like, cool.
Right.
So I booked the venue, and then we're trying to promote the show. Ryan finds out and books the same weekend as us, down maybe about 30 miles away. And again, we're trying to work that out with him, but it's okay. The city of Atlanta, not Atlanta itself, Metro Atlanta has a population of 6.4 million people.
Damn.
Yeah, so there's plenty of people to go around. That's the reason we chose this city to host this show in. So Metro Atlanta is 2 times the size of, almost 3 times the size of like Kansas City. Metro Kansas City. So it's not like there's not enough people to go around. And I think if we both communicated and we both advertised enough, we'll both have successful shows. Not that big a deal. And right now we're not really too much worried about it. We're just gonna do our thing and advertise. I have some of the top dogs in the industry coming out, so that helps. Kind of pulling in favors. And I have JMG, which is the best hognose breeder in the country, coming out.
He's up here in Cleveland.
He's up here. He's by us and stuff.
Here in Cleveland, yeah.
Phenomenal guy. Right? I have Rich Delbano from Jesus Christ. Now I'm drawing a blank. But Rich Delbano, basically the top Da Vinci boas, the top Central American boa breeder in the country, will be out there. And then of course I have Justin Gavilka, with Canova out there, so that kind of helps. So we have the 3 best of the best in their categories covered at this show. So that helps.
Damn. I wish I would have known that sooner.
Yeah, I feel like just having those.
that's a long drive though.
Following, that is the following that they have. People have to come here. This is the only chance you get to see Justin if you don't make it to Tinley.
100%. I'll be in how often are you doing your show?
So I only booked this one. I don't want to oversaturate the city itself. I have a number in mind of attendees that if we were to reach this number, and if vendors agree and want to, we would consider doing it a second time, maybe in spring, end of March, beginning of April, something like that. But unless we reach that number, I wouldn't consider it, and it would be a one-time show. But again, if the attendance is there and the vendors are there and want to do it, I would be open to a second show in spring.
See, I would be, if you do a second show, I want it.
Yeah.
Oh, let me know. Yeah, because I feel like every vendor or promoter goes out and cool, I'm going to do 4 times this city, 3 times this city, and I'm like, why don't you do it one time and see if you're even good at it? And if that city takes you that if the city even responds well to this before you spam it 4 times and kills your own market. Let me do this show right the first time. Let me put enough advertising in. Let me try to get 10,000 people through the door or whatever and make sure all of our vendors make a ton of money before we spam it 3 times, 2 times, whatever the number is.
I'm gonna suggest this for you, maybe to help you out a little bit, because this is my experience with it. I do go to a lot of shows. I do vend a lot of shows. The Celine show up in Michigan and stuff. Okay, their first show. So this is why I'm considering maybe for you maybe to do 2 shows or so. So the first show that Celine did put in 1,700 people through the door, which is good for Celine and shit around our area and stuff. Okay. Now that's only because it was new. Because so once the newness wears off, then that's where you're hitting your true numbers. Okay, so like maybe you're not
getting close to that since.
It hasn't been close to that. It fell off. It went from 1,700 and it fell all the way off to 400 to 500 regularly. And they could not afford the venue anymore, and that's why they had to cancel.
I'll be honest right now. If I get 5,000 people through the door, I won't do another show.
Right. So you're looking at least 10,000 or so, right?
10,000 people through the door would be the number I would come back to the show for. Yeah, at 5,000 people through the door, I probably won't mention another show.
Okay, so there you go. So if you guys this could be a one-time thing. If you guys are close to Atlanta, hit up Bavu. Fucking go check out that show.
Because I feel like just from the hype alone, we can get the first 1,000 people through the door easy.
Yeah, they're
There'll
easy.
be 1,000 people through the door just to freaking see Justin and their favorite breeders in there, right? You got we have literally the who's who of the area for breeding,
right?
So just those people alone should bring in the 1,000 people. And again, my friends and fans or whatever customers will show up, and we've been promoting the hell out of it. Then it comes down after the first 1,000 people who are truly reptile, people that follow us. Then you have just a regular reptile enthusiast that will show up anyways. They're the guys that keep one bearded dragon or one ball python or whatever, and they'll just follow along and come out. So you're going to get an extra 1,000 attendees. So you're almost guaranteed, in my opinion, especially the city of Atlanta, you should be guaranteed 2,000 attendees. The next 8,000 attendees is 100% dependent on how much work we do as promoters. That's between banners, signs, ads, billboards, and all that stuff. And how much footwork we want to put in, and it's a lot.
It is a lot.
Yeah, we're gonna do everything we can to make this show successful. Every restaurant, pretty much within 10 miles of the venue, should have flyers and banner and posters of our show. Because at the end of the day, this is the first show, and if we suck this first show, that means it's gonna keep sucking moving forward. Right? At first excitement and everyone excited, all the vendors are excited. Because if that first show sucks, your vendors are not excited to come back. They're not going to talk about the show. They'll come back because it's me, so they'll feel bad. Like if I say, "Oh, I'm having a second show, guys. The first one I had 2,000 people," they'll come back. Justin might not, but a few other vendors will come back because they feel bad saying no to me. I know that. But if I had 10,000, 12,000, even let's say 8,000 people through the door, these vendors, let's say, go home with $3,000, $4,000 in their pockets and $5,000 in their pockets. They will ask me when the next show is. I won't have to try to get them to me. That's
correct. Yeah, fuck, for sure, 100%. So heck yeah, man. So that's it. If that does good, if you're gonna bring it back, what was that?
I like what Kenny just said. Some promoters forget like their promoter is their actual job title, because I've seen promotions where I've gone to the show where literally all they did was book the venue and posted it.
That's it.
That's it.
We've cut out expos like that. Yeah. There were some. So what was our number? Like, you don't freaking promote it. You don't advertise it. You don't spend the extra money. Boost that advertisement on Facebook. Boost it on Instagram. Get it out there. You have to spend money to make money. Scared money don't make money, and that's just simple.
And it's a learning process. I had to sit down with the Google team. The other day, I sat down with the Google team. They actually emailed us and say, "Hey, we want to sit down with you guys on your ads because you've already spent over $1,000 with us, and we want to maximize your ads." And we sat down with them, and they're like, "You guys have no idea what you're doing, do you?" I'm like, "Oh, I boosted. I'm advertising on Google and YouTube and all this." And they're like, "Yeah, but you just advertised to some dude in Canada." And I'm like, "What?" And they're like, "You have no idea what you're doing." So they set us up with real location. They set it up with what pictures we need to post, what videos. which by the way, they do the videos for us, which is awesome. Keywords and stuff like that. My good friend Daniel is handling like 99% of the tech stuff because I am not that tech savvy.
Right.
So I asked him to do 99% of that. And then my wife is handling a lot of this stuff. And it's like, it takes a real team effort, but you also have to be willing to learn this stuff, you know, and sit down with this Google team, sit down with the billboard manager, and take criticism, not just advice, but criticism. Because sometimes I think these are great ideas I have in my head, and then they'll be like, hey, that's freaking stupid. Or you're being a cheap ass. Like sometimes I'll, hey, we can cut corners here and there. They're like, no, don't be a cheap ass. Order these high quality banners or signs. I have 100 yard signs out there that are 24 inches. I have 100 6-foot signs that are sitting in my office. I have 500 or 600 posters. Probably another 5,000 flyers we have to put out between now and the show. So it's a lot of work ahead of us. But again, for a promoter, if you're charging $10 per ticket and you dump $10,000 into promoting, you know, break the cost.
It's still a cost.
You only need 500 people through the door to break even. That's it. 500 people.
Like, you know, 100%. And he has to recoup his money and shit because, like, you know, when you're running when you're promoting a show,
right?
You know, your advertisement's a cost. You know, everything's a cost. Your venue, your advertisement, what you put into it is what you get out. It's simple.
I'm starting to. I hate to say it this way, but I'm starting to hate cheap venues because it makes our industry look cheap. You know, I've been to shows before in a church, in a cafeteria, in a you know, like these small, and again, I understand we all start somewhere,
right?
But as a show promoter, if you're as a customer, think about this as a customer, you're driving your kids to a reptile show, thinking of all this stuff, and the thing you go to is like this ran down building, and then you go in there, it's just a bunch of bare tables and wires hanging everywhere, and you know, bleacher, and it smells like a you know, gym sock. You're thinking these reptile people are all like this because that's their only knowledge, that's their only vision of reptile people, because that's the first thing they've seen about us is this first reptile show, and that's their image of reptile people, is we're dirty or, you know, or whatever. So I feel like, especially for a show, you're gonna host a show, pick the best venue you can afford within reason. That's why NARBC is so successful. It's always in a nice venue. That's why Daytona is one of the biggest shows in the country, because it's a phenomenal venue. You know, so that's why we picked the venue we did. Also, is a beautiful venue with concessions and all this stuff. So I feel like just like the show itself, just like us presenting ourselves to customers, because that's their first experience. Let's say this person buying their first ball python. Their first experience with a reptile breeder is you, and you want to show them this nice display and banner and all this stuff because you want their experience to be good. But the venue itself also needs to be nice and good, and welcoming, and make us look professional.
I think that's probably because, like, I was talking to the promoters over in Saline and stuff like that. They were saying that like they were overpaying for it, but like when we were vending. Like when they moved it, like we were literally in a stall unit for farm animals, you know, and they blocked off and stuff. They try to make it look, you know, but you can't polish a turd in a way,
right?
But the one they do in Jackson, way nicer venue. They can do way more with it. It's nice as hell, you know what I mean? And it's cheaper. Surprisingly,
it started in Jackson. That's the funny thing. It started there.
They started in Jackson and they tried doing it every other month, and they moved it over to Saline. And I think that's honestly, now that you talk about it, Bob, that might have been why it failed, because one, it was expensive as hell for them to do, and two, the venue itself just wasn't like for me and Will to go there as like a vendor and stuff like that. You walk into the stall where they keep horses, goats, stuff like that. Like, you know, if I'm a customer.
It was a fairground.
Yeah, it was a fairground.
Right.
Yeah, if I'm a customer and you walk into that, it's like, oh, you know what I mean? Like, compared to like where if I go walk into a college that has this open room like it is in Jackson or like wherever they hold it at, it's way nicer, way roomier. It's freaking gorgeous, and they can have more potential to knock down walls and stuff like that. Columbus show, that we do, that we go vend at. That's twice a year and stuff that Chris holds and stuff like that.
That's
Nice, man.
actually at the state fairgrounds, but
Yeah, that's at the state
not
fairground.
in an animal part.
Yeah,
of it.
it's in an actual building, and it's a big building. I think your room too has a lot to deal with it. Like, where do your vendors have room?
Right.
Are they all crammed together? Are they more likely to come back? Is the crowd crammed together? Now, I will say I like the crowd a little bit more tighter to the vendors, because it makes them have to engage with the vendors. Because normally when people are walking by, me and Will sit there like, oh, hey, how you doing?
I'm on the fence about that because I know people who avoid Tinley because of the crowd.
Correct. I think Jackson has a lot of room in between, like the rows. Like, it's really spaced out, but it also kind of sucks too, because they can just walk by you. They don't have to engage with you.
That's true.
Where, I mean, like, where as a vendor, I would almost rather have you sit there. I'm not saying be like this, but I'd like to have you close to the tables.
Not have 14 feet between
14
an aisle.
Between this section over here that has these vendors and this section over here, they have 14 feet that are here, where the crowd is going to sit there and they can just walk past you. They don't have to engage with you. It sucks for us.
That might be where my show's downfall is. I don't know yet, because I booked the biggest space I can get, and then I realized, man, I need 200 vendors to fill the space if I want to fill it in. So I end up only doing 100 vendors, because I want to make sure all the vendors make money. That means each vendor gets a whole 100 customers to themselves, pretty much.
Yeah.
What the math works out, right? So if each vendor gets 100 customers, they're going to have 100 chances to make money. Then they're going to do well. If I add more vendors, less money, blah, blah, blah. So now my aisles are actually 20 foot wide. So huge aisles. But
Huge
now, for Daytona, if you go to Daytona or Reptilian Nation, all their aisles are 20 foot, 15, 20 foot. Yeah. So we might shrink them down. We might, again, the only way I was going to be able to shrink down the aisles is to add a whole island, a row of islands, which would have added another 60 tables. Yeah, for a show promoter, that sounds great. That's an extra $7-8 grand worth of table money in my pocket. But that also means less money in my vendor's pocket.
Correct. And I've cut out 4 or 5 shows now because I wasn't making money.
Right.
I'd go there like, oh, I'm going to go drive 2 hours to sit there, or even an hour on the one, and not sell anything, or do maybe one sale in 3 or 4 months. No, I'm out.
I don't want any vendor leaving my show broke. Like, okay, if they only made a few bucks, made a few $1,000, it's fine. But every vendor should be able to sell something if you tried. If you tried, and I put 10,000 people in front of you and you tried, you should make money. And if you didn't, then it will assess. And again, most of the vendors that I have out should know what they're doing. But as a show promoter, you should give each vendor the best chance to make money. And if our show is widely successful, then yes, I will add another row of vendors. We can add in more vendors. But again, in order to gauge that, I think 100 vendors is good to start with. The top, that way we can still screen them. We're not necessarily, I see a lot of these shows where they just add anybody because they don't.
Dude, yes, 100%. Right? Or they act like a flea market. It's pretty much like a flea market. Everything.
Guys selling gutters and knives.
Why the hell are you? Okay, I get exotics and stuff, but I don't consider a bird. I mean, I guess a bird is an exotic, but I mean, there's still other stuff there that's just like, this has no reason to be here.
Jewelry,
underwear. I've been to shows with underwear there before, like a lingerie salesman.
I'm not gonna lie. When I was over at Tinley and stuff, they had the one sword dude that was selling swords and stuff. I'm like, what the fuck does this have to do with freaking reptile?
Yeah, that guy took up 4 tables. I'm like, this could have been someone's table. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm like, why is this? I mean, I get like you need your opportunities and stuff, but why are you doing this at a reptile expo trying to sell swords?
Yeah.
Now I get if you do 3D printing and stuff like that, it's like reptile related. Hey, I'm printing turtles or snakes, spiders, whatever. All right, cool.
That guy was there, and they had reptile people out in the lobby set up.
Yeah,
and he was taking on tables. He should have been out in the lobby.
Mad. Like, yeah, if you want those people, fine, great, awesome. But put them out in the hallway off the main floor.
A lot of those guys, I feel like they're like grandfathered in. That guy's probably been vending that show for 30 years.
That was the first time he was
I'd ever seen.
Oh, really? Wow. Okay.
I've been there. I've been to Tinley every year since I started in the last 4 years, and that was the first time I've ever seen that guy there. And I always go like in the fall and stuff, and that was the first time I freaking, and I mean,
it was a spring show, but
yeah, I mean, like I said, like the laser pointer and stuff. I don't mind that because it's good for the kids. Maybe they want a souvenir type thing. I mean, if they're doing snake stuff, reptile stuff,
It
it's
should be
theme
reptile
related.
related stuff.
Yeah, I'm cool with it. Fine, it's awesome. But if you're sitting there trying to do like 3D printing and you're trying to do like stuff that's not reptile related, that's where it's a problem.
I think the 3D printing and toys and stuff has its place, mainly because not every family walking in is ready to buy a snake or something like that. It needs to you have to have something for them to take home. Bring home a printed lizard, a bearded dragon, a gecko, or something, just something for them to take home to remember the show by. Because every kid that goes there is going to be so pissed that they're going to go home empty-handed, but they saw another kid walk out with a bearded dragon. So they can at least go home with a 3D printed toy for $20 or $10. It's no commitment, for the parents. So I do understand those guys. So I do have a 3D printed guy, and I actually picked this guy specifically because all of his prints are phenomenal. He does awesome lace monitor prints, Gaboon Viper prints. He has a Gaboon Viper that the fangs pop out. Really cool. So yeah, for those guys, I understand. But if you're just 3D printing anything and just random toys, yeah, that's not acceptable.
No, it's not. Like I've seen some questionable stuff. As I'm just like, why? But like I said, it's the same thing. Like where the promoters are just sitting there trying to fill the tables and stuff. And also like with you being a promoter and stuff, I'm like, the promoters need to take accountability to an extent where if there's a sick animal out there, get them the hell out of there. At least take that animal down, and maybe consider, not letting them vend the next time, especially if they have a lot of sick animals. Now I understand like one, it happens, they may not have missed it. More likely if you're a breeder, you're just being naive and just trying to get rid of it and it's sick and you're just being a piece of shit, in my opinion.
Because of the promoters not having like an option of like who to add. I've seen some of these show promotions where they're like, well, we only have 26 vendors. I don't want to piss off another one by telling them to take animals off the table and stuff. I'll tell you straight up right now, if someone brings sick animals to my table, to our show, I don't expect this to happen, but I'll tell them to leave and tell them not to ever come back.
Right.
I have a wait list of like 50 vendors, so I can just call somebody else.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it's like you got to have standards for your show, and you have to expect these high standards for your vendors.
You do. And like I said, like look semi-professional. Like don't be a slob, because not only are you representing yourself, you're sitting there, you're representing the company, the promoter, the show itself. Like, hey, like there's sick animals at this show, I'm not going back to that show. I've seen plenty of people say that about other shows. Like, hey,
they don't remember the vendor. They don't remember, oh, it was John's Pythons or whatever. They're gonna be like, hey, I went to that reptile show. I went to Southeast Reptile Expo and I saw 6 skinny animals there. That's what they're gonna remember. They're gonna be like, oh, it was this exact vendor. No, they're gonna be like, I went to this show, and they're gonna tell their friends that I went to this show, or I went to a reptile show, and then this happened there. And now all their friends are gonna think, oh man, that's what all reptile breeders do, is just sell sick animals out of their basement, stuff like that. And again, it gives all of us a bad name. It gives all the shows a bad name, and it's So in my opinion, we have to do some self-policing in the industry. When that comes in.
There's one guy that we we're good friends with. He does spiders and stuff like that. Not even into snakes, but we were at this one show and stuff, and there was this sick green tree ball python, or not ball python, but this sick green tree were they boas or python? They are pythons.
Green tree pythons.
Yeah, they are python, and it had mites all over it. So people were looking at it, and people are asking questions about it, and so he goes up to the table. Hey, do the mites and the sickness come with it? It just called out the vendor on it, dude, like in front of these people, and the people just walked. They're like, "What?" He's like, "Yeah, we got all these mites and stuff," because he had them on paper towels, and you can see it, the white speck. You see him crawling. He's like, "Yeah." He's like, "Look, like they're all right here and stuff," And it's a problem because like there's a couple of times where me and Will have pointed out stuff to promoters and stuff like that. Like, hey, this dude has sick animals, or like, hey, this, and the promoters don't do nothing about it. Hey,
promoters also need to be held accountable for that stuff.
They do. 100.
Not letting outside animals. Like,
Yeah, don't bring in outside animals. That's how natto started to spread in Michigan in the first place. Don't bring in outside animals, because if I can bring in an outside animal, why am I going to sit there and pay table fees for your show?
So how do you feel a promoter can prevent that? So I have an idea of what I'm going to do at my show. And
So I have an idea. So a promoter, in my opinion, okay, you should be set up. So say the show starts at 10. You should be at least set up no later than 9:15 or so. The promoter should individually go around to each vendor's table, look at what that vendor is selling, take an animal inspection and stuff, and they see a sick animal and stuff, like, hey, you need to get this off the table. It's sick. It has an RI, or its mouth is consistently opening type thing. Like
the attendees bringing in animals. I have a vet for our show. I have a vet to walk around. Yeah.
Okay, so yeah, so you got the vet, and then as far as attendees bringing in animals, one, you post it beforehand,
right,
and stuff. So like you make it very clear that, like, hey, no outside animals are allowed in. You post signs outside the door, the entrance. If they still try to do it, no, you're not coming in. Rules are rules. You know what I mean?
Then
like,
what if someone still comes in with a bearded dragon on their shoulder or a ball python on their neck? What do? Send them home?
Send them home. Goodbye.
You send them home. So this is what happens, right? You send them home. They won't come back. They'll tell all their friends about it, about your show. And now you've just lost a potential 100 attendees because of that.
I don't care. I don't care. You know why? You know why? Because my vendors' animals are more important.
Right. So this is the fine line between, as a vendor, I would want you to do that.
Right.
As a promoter, now you just lost $1,000 worth of attendance or more. If it's 100 attendees, is more, right? So how I feel our show is going to handle this, in my opinion, this is the one of the neutral, possibly neutral solutions for this. Again, I don't know that it is we're going to have cubbies. I'm going to have 20 cubbies. I'm going to bring 20 totes. They're 17-gallon totes. And inevitably, I'm going to post it online. I'm going to have signs. Don't bring your animals. Don't bring your pets. It's the middle of the summer. It's dangerous, blah, blah, blah. Inevitably, some guy's going to come with a cart, with a freaking retic on his shoulder, walking into the, because he's so proud. Again, we have to understand, why do these people do this? It's because he bought this retic 3 months ago, and he's so proud of it that this is the only place he can show it off, because these are the people that understand him. None of his friends understand him. They hate him. And they hate his snake. And this is the only place he can show it off. So he's going to come in real proud of the snake. So in that situation, I would say, sir, blah, 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 blah. These are the rules because of the safety of the show and your pet and other people's animals. We can't allow you to bring this animal in. What I can do, however, is I can check in your animal into one of our block boxes, right? You'll have a lock box number, and I need to take your driver's license also, or something like along those lines. And when you come back to claim this animal, you can have the animal back, blah, 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 blah. This is the number. You have all that. So in that situation, you can take your animal back. All we got to do is spray the box out with fipronil and bleach it out, and we're done.
Okay, I like that. I was going to ask you about that. You got cross-contamination and stuff for people that... I get that. I respect that. I like it.
I don't mind as much of the people bringing in pets as the people bringing in snakes and tubs
to sell, right?
And try to trade or sell them.
I hate that too. That's
I
absolutely.
had to pay my table fee to sell my animals. You need to pay them to sell yours.
As a vendor, I would be pissed off.
Yeah. I like that. I like that, Bob. I see where you're coming from a promoter's standpoint, because you still don't want to lose money and piss people off, but you still don't want to put your vendors at risk. But it's almost to where, like, if you're going to do that, that those tubs and stuff need to be as far away from the vendors as possible.
So I actually asked the venue if I can book an office. So they gave me an office specifically for, like,
there you go,
where we're supposed to count money and stuff. And I'm like, yeah, no, we're just going to use that to store animals. So any loose animals from a vendor or whatever, or any animal that attendees bring in to check in, will go into that room. I think that's going to be one of the solutions where it won't piss off you. It's like, as an attendee, you won't be so offended. Oh my God, they think my animal is sick. Hey, just for the safety of everybody, we need you to check in your animal. It's going to be back here in this back room. You know, it's AC, blah, 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 blah. And that way you can keep your vendors safe. You can keep your vendors' animals safe. And this guy's not trying to sell all these animals. And you won't have an issue with the vendor.
As a vendor, if I was, you know, if I can vend your show and stuff like that, like I'm okay with that. With any show, honestly, I'd be cool with that. Now, as long as if you so say you have a person, you have a certain person that does this. Okay, like that's their job at the show. Okay, they do that. Okay, so so what do you do if they see that animal and they notice it has an RI or something, or it has mites or something?
So then that you have to turn that person away. You can say that clearly your animal is sick, and you explain to them the severity of it. And again, if you have a sick animal, you most likely know it, man. If you have an animal that's been wheezing, you know it.
You know it.
In front of me, it's got to go. Yeah. And again, there's only very few sicknesses that we can't really, really, really visibly see, right? Obviously, nido, we're worried about that, but a lot of nido contaminations require fluids and stuff like that. A lot of breeding that will transmit nido. But a respiratory infection and mites is pretty much your biggest concerns.
Yes, 100%.
Those are visible, so that helps.
Okay, awesome, man.
If your lock boxes are sprayed with fipronil, which as literally on contact, those mites will die. So you should be good anyways in that situation. Yeah.
I like it. I think I'm going to suggest this with other shows and stuff now. I did message Brandy. Hey, like go in the 2-hour mark and stuff of this podcast and stuff. We start talking about promoters and stuff like that. This might be a good idea for you. And just some good, valuable information. So I appreciate that, Bob. I'm gonna go back into a little bit about genes and stuff here in a second. So I'm gonna take one more commercial break real quick. We're gonna get into some genes and stuff, and I'll cut you loose because you're right now the longest podcast I've had.
All right, well,
so we'll be right back, guys.
Coming in hot.
What's up, YouTube? It's Full Line Morphs. We're gonna.
Up YouTube, this is William from Simplified Dallas Exotics.
Coming in hot.
Matter of fact, I'm just Justin Carr from Carr Reptile.
Enthusiast, I'm Brian. Welcome to Sky High Morphs.
Without further ado, let's go.
All right, guys, and we're back. Quick little update too. We are going to do a Saturday podcast for a night because Brian does want on. Brian works with me, but he works second shift Monday through Friday. He can't come on the podcast, so it's hard for him. So he asked me in our group chat to do a Saturday podcast at least once, so he can get on it. I think we're gonna do a breeders roundtable on it. So we're just gonna invite. It's gonna be an open type thing. We're going to invite some breeders on here if you guys want to talk and stuff like that. It's going to be open. We're just going to have a good time with it on a Saturday. There's going to be no, set time for it. We're just going to see what's up with it. So real quick, Bob, what genes in your collection aren't you heavy in? Like, do you work with HRA?
I have some. I'm not heavy in them. I have.
You're not heavy? Is there a reason for that? You just not big in it, or you can only work so much stuff?
So HRA being allelic with black pastel, cinnamons and stuff like that, and Enchi now makes it more difficult to work down the road once you have an allelic animal. Some people think it's awesome, but sometimes it's kind of a detriment. And the name itself turns a lot of customers off, right? HRA, het red xanthic. It's first of all, it's not het for anything, and it's not an xanthic. It's not red. It's just a terrible name to start with. They should have called them Goblin. I think originally it was like green pastels, and that's a terrible name. Literally could have called it something else, Goblin, something else, literally anything else. So the name itself was terrible. I do own some animals. I'm going to make HRA. Let me see, het red xanthic, desert ghost xanthics. Yeah, that's what we're going for.
Cool.
Yeah, so it might be cool because again, black pastel desert ghost xanthic was awesome. So I think the HRA version is going to be cool too. And again, I like the gargoyle stuff, so I don't mind working them. I just don't have it.
Right. I'm gonna ask this question because David brought this up before we get off topic here. He did say so. That's a good idea. Talking about the shows and stuff that you're doing. But what about if they claim the animal got sick there, or if any incident happens?
Oh yeah, so that's a pretty simple liability form. Yeah, like where it just says we take no, we're not responsible for anything. That
Okay, yep.
They
They just make them
if they're willingly checking in the animal, they literally just sign a form. Oh, we'll make a quick form where they sign that they, we take no responsibility for anything that happens.
There you go. So all right, so
99% of people don't read the stuff anyway, so who cares?
Yeah, so just sign it and just be cool with it. Pretty much.
Yeah.
Will, do you have any questions for Bob?
No.
All right. Will's off the podcast. No, just kidding. Will. So you're doing you're doing a lot of DG stuff right now.
Yeah, DG, hypos, clowns, pides, tri-stripe, sunset, stuff like that.
I want to get into tri-stripe.
Tri-stripe, yeah.
What have you? I'm talking about tri-stripe for a little bit. What have you noticed works really? So I've noticed that like Enchi does not work good in tri-stripe because you don't want it. You don't want it to reduce that tri-stripe.
Leopard.
GHI.
Neither does leopard, which is really surprising because leopard is so strong. You would think it would busy out that tri-stripe more. OD is not bad. Have you noticed anything else that works really good with tri-stripe?
GHI works great in it. Fire. What was that combo that Zach had? Zach had. I have to think about it. Yeah, I gotta find pictures of it, but I know his GHI tri-stripe was phenomenal. DG tri-stripe was one of my favorites. Again, my first tri-stripe animals I bought were in 2019. I ordered them in 2019. They were supposed to ship February of 2020. They shipped to the Netherlands, got stuck there for 4 months during COVID, and then they arrived in July. It made like skinny, like on the verge of death. I thought they were gonna die. All 3 of them survived the trip. They were eating rats twice a week. They were just starving to death. And literally, both of my girls laid eggs in 2021. They're double hets. They're pastel double het DG tri-stripes, and I've produced 4 DG tri-stripes so far. And I sold the first one I ever produced. Someone offered $30 on it, and I just can't see not taking that money, so I took it. And I mean, the project, in my opinion, still has a lot of potential. I wouldn't go with like, obviously tri-stripe and clown hasn't proven to be good, but I would go like, why not? Why are people like going, oh, I have to do clown? And I'm like, you don't have to. DG Azanthic tri-stripe, Hypo Azanthic tri-stripe, Hypo DG tri-stripe, Ultramel, puzzle tri-stripe. There's so many options. You don't have to go clown with everything. Just like they're talking about the puzzle stuff. It doesn't have to be clown. Clown doesn't have to be the end all of every project,
No, it does not. Like my collection itself is based off of DG Hypo stuff.
Oh yeah.
That's how I sat there and built this collection. Now there is, obviously I got DG Hypo clowns, working towards that. I got a pair, so I got the GHI spot nose double head Hypo DG from Justin, and then I got a Cypress lesser yellow belly double head as well. So that will be interesting. But yeah, like I said, like you said too, it doesn't have to be just clown and pie. I have my pied game sucks. I have none. I guess I got 2 pieds.
Yeah, it's okay. You don't ever have to dabble into it. Like literally.
No, you don't. And I don't think I'm really ever will go heavy into pied. Now pied sell at expos and stuff, so you can use it as. I mean, do you use certain projects and stuff, Bob, as like pet stuff to fund your breeder stuff?
That's pieds and blue-eyed Lucy's, man. The pied wholesale market overall and pet market is more steady than any other gene, because when you put a normal ball python next to a regular clown, the general public's just gonna be like, oh cool, this one's a little cooler. You put a pied next to a normal and they're like, whoa, what is this thing in shed? Is it albino? They have all these questions. So pieds and blue-eyed Lucy's will always be the bread and butter of this industry. Bananas, obviously, because they're simple to produce and they look way different than a normal. So anything that looks different than a normal, that's the reason why spiders, bumblebees were so popular, back in the day, because a bumblebee next to a normal is like, it's mind-blowing back then. But now, because we have bananas and pieds and clown, all these other combos in the pet trade, you want things that just looks pretty. Who cares if it's a pastel Enchi clown? You can put a pastel Enchi clown And every day of the week, someone's gonna buy a Blue Eye Lucy over a Pastel NG Clown. It just looks
100%.
prettier,
Just
you know.
facts.
So, and as an adult, a Blue Eye Lucy is gonna look exactly the same, and that Pastel NG Clown is not as pretty.
Yep. Albino pies I don't see much of. I see more lavender pies.
Lab
I see
pies,
more-
I think because we pushed it, but I feel like lab pies will eventually just become albino pies, price point wise.
Yep, I
Andino
agree.
pies, in my opinion, age better than lab pies. So
I was gonna say you got albinos, pieds, blue-eyed Lucies, and ivories. Those sell. If you take 4 of them, you're probably gonna sell all 4.
right, you're gonna make your table money every show if you have 4 Blue Eye Lucies on the table. So you'll pay for your tables and hotels every show. Very simple.
I might just keep that Mojave hypo and just use her just to make bells all day.
Sometimes I've had big breeders come over here and they're like, "Is this a rack of Blue Eye Lucies?" And I'm like, "Hey man, we're just small time breeder here. No, I have a rack of Blue Eye Lucies. We breed every year and we produce 100 Blue Eye Lucies a year. And you gotta think, if I produce 100 Blue Eye Lucies a year, I make 30 grand a year in just Blue Eye Lucies. That pays for all my show expenses for the whole year."
Right. Ooh, I don't know about that, Josh. Freaking, they can. Depends on the person, because freaking, we went to that show and Will had him. He had that clutch out and stuff, and nobody looked at him.
I had
Nobody- I was
and an ivory.
I was shocked.
Throw banana into it. Banana freeways and banana and cheap freeways are the fastest selling animals. I
There
have
you go.
banana freeways out of the egg. They hit 3 meals. I go to a show, every single one of them will be sold. I don't even have to ever worry about taking them home. Banana freeway. That's a secret tip.
Yeah, 100%. I agree with. Payment
I got
over
that-
freeway.
I got that super asphalt too. So
Banana freeways, man. If you can produce them, crank them out. That's easy money.
Crank them out. There you go. So how much of your sales do you think? Okay, so if you had to break up your sales, okay, like say 0 to 500 or 600, or we'll say $1,000 and less. We'll go to 1,000 and 2,000. Wait, do you sell more pet stuff, or are you selling more breeder stuff right now?
By volume, we're gonna produce more pet. We're gonna sell more pet stuff, like all the hets and pastel NG clowns. Anything we missed the odds on, like by volume, we're gonna sell more animals than the under 500 and under. But by monetary value, by like profit margin, this facility is ran off of selling $2,000, $3,000, $5,000 animals. Because every time you sell one of those, great, you just pay the bills for a week. You have to sell a lot of $300 animals to try to make up for that $5,000 sale.
Plus, if it doesn't move right away, by the time you have the food, the bedding, and you're already in the negative.
You don't have to feed one animal for $5 grand, or you're gonna have to feed 30 of these guys over here. So
I've told smaller breeders that around here and stuff, like, quit pairing this stuff that you're pairing and bitching about, like you're not selling nothing because you're not making anything that no one wants.
So tell them this. So let's say on average for a small time breeder, because you're not buying everything wholesale and in bulk, it costs you about $10 a week per animal you keep in your house, right? You're thinking rack space, cleaning time, rodents, heat, all this. $10 per week to keep an animal. By the time you buy this baby pastel, you bought a female pastel. By the time this pastel is on eggs, let's say you got it for free from a friend. Like that, you have $1,500 into this animal before you got your first clutch of eggs, and you just produce a bunch of pastel yellow bellies and pastel end cheese. You won't even make that $1,500 back. You won't even break even. So it costs the same amount of money to maintain that pastel as it is to maintain a pastel desert ghost.
Yep,
you will make that money back.
Yep,
a $100 snake or a $10,000 snake, it costs the same
amount of cost. You still got to clean its poop. You still got to feed it.
Yep, cost the same. Have you noticed since the market has corrected itself since COVID? I'm gonna say corrected because it's never gonna go back up to COVID prices. Okay, that's just facts, and because everyone's breeding and stuff right now. So like Bob said earlier and stuff, like, so when you go buy something that's going to depreciate, so choose your projects wisely. Okay. Because if you go sit there and go have this project that everyone's doing, like Clown Pied, Dreamsicles, where it can only go so much, like it's going to plummet if everyone's into that project. So do your own stuff. Okay, so do your own projects. Don't follow the crowd. Do you think that I've seen it in the last couple months, so I'm on Morph Market quite a bit. I don't know with your experience of it, but I've noticed higher end ball pythons are also sitting on the market for a little bit less or for a little bit longer, and people just kind of like drop the prices by them by a couple $1,000s or so. Like, what do you think about that? Is the breeding becoming a problem where the market's becoming so saturated that even the high end stuff is sitting there, and there's just that wiggle room that people want to spend money on these things market wise? I was gonna make a video about it. I haven't got that.
In my opinion, this is what happened, right? So in 2020, all these guys come in, like the COVID breeders, if you so call them, the COVID breeders. They come in and they drop 50 grand. They bought Pompeii making animals, Pompeii ingredients. Now they produced their first Pompeii, and they're like, well, Pompeii should be $20,000, $15,000, because that's what I paid for heads.
Right.
They're in their mind, they haven't corrected the price yet. From what they paid to what they produced. They're like, well, okay, sure, I'll charge half. You can't charge half. You overpaid because of COVID. So now you have to charge even less than half for the babies and heads especially. So, and then on top of that, on top of you having these COVID breeders that need these value because they overpaid for their original animals, on top of that, you're having middle and breeders, the guys that are depending on Lucy's and whatever. Those guys aren't making nearly as much money. And usually we depend on those guys to buy our $2,000-$3,000 animals. Those guys aren't making nearly as much money because the guy buying the animal from them, the Blue-eyed Lucy from them, is now having to pay more money for a tank of gas, for a loaf of bread, for a gallon of milk.
Yes.
And or for their rent. Because I'll tell you right now, my old house, I feel so bad. The house that I moved out of here is renting out for $3,000 a month to rent. Someone is paying my mortgage to live there, and I feel bad, but that's what the local market is. I'm actually below the local market. I'm charging $400, $500 below market to keep people in there, and I feel bad about it. Someone having to pay $3,000 a month to rent a house, and that's what the market has gone to.
It is, and I see that around I live in a smaller town and stuff, and I see people charging these, and it's not even crazy anymore because the landlord has costs too, just like how you do. You know, like it's just like snake business and stuff. Like people need to be more business savvy in this. Like, if you're gonna get into this to be business savvy mindset. Like quit sitting there and like let's be realistic about it. Like I'm realistic as shit. Like hey, like I go on Morph Market, I compare prices and stuff. Like don't be a piece of shit though. Like on the market, like I'm, you know, but yeah, cut it in half because like you want to sell it. Don't be that piece of shit. Now what's gonna end up happening? So let's take for example, okay. So bells, okay. So let's say bells go for $500. Don't be that piece of shit at the fucking expo or something like that that's gonna go put a bell at $200 or $250.
They do that all the time. I see it all the time, especially against my table. They'll go and price my table and then go and reprice. And we generally keep our price the same because I print my label, so I never change it. And we just have to compete that way. If dropping the price is your only tool,
you shouldn't be breeding.
You
shouldn't be breeding. And I see these dudes and stuff, and there's bigger time dudes, like not that big, like we're not talking like Canova or you big, but they're similar known that do these buy one get one free or buy one get one half. Like you shouldn't be breeding.
If you have to have a 50% off sale sign on your table, you can't even compete in this industry other than you're cheaper than the rest of us. Yep. It's not good.
Yeah. It's not good. You shouldn't be breeding, in my opinion.
Yeah,
you shouldn't be doing it. I don't ever have sales. You haven't ever seen a sale on my.
You know why I don't do sales? I feel like if I do a sale, let's say I do a sale that runs till, let's say I do a Black Friday sale. I say, okay, cool. The sale ends on Friday or on Saturday. You know damn well that customer called you on Monday and asked for the same price. You're gonna give it to them anyway. So why do the sale in the first place?
Yeah, and not only that. So this is my so like when I was a year or two into this, I've noticed this too, and someone made a very good point about it. So let's say that, okay, so you have a sale, say on holidays and stuff. Why the hell am I going to pay full price for you? I know you're going to have a sale in a couple months.
Right. I'm not going to buy from you knowing you have a sale every month. There's no reason for me to buy from you.
There's no reason to do it.
Right.
There's none. You're hurting the market. You're hurting yourself. You're actually losing money because you're hatching out these babies and stuff and you're giving them for half off or free. What are you doing? Like, seriously.
I've done one sale ever, and it was a 10% discount that goes directly to you, Sark. It was one of our promotions we did at the time where we did that. But the sales themselves don't generate you money. I'll be honest with you. You could continuously pumping sales. Oh, Labor Day sale, 4th of July sale, and all this stuff. I'm never gonna buy from you at full price.
Yeah,
I'll just wait until your next sale, and I'll buy from you again. I'll wait until well-known breeders run sales. Sometimes I'll wait for you can keep waiting forever. Canova never runs a freaking sale.
Why? Because his demand's so high. He doesn't need to.
Right.
He'll hold it back if he has. It don't matter.
Right.
Or there's no
Breed
reason.
animals you're willing to hold back. There you go. Breed animals you're willing to hold back, and you can't get full value out of it. If it's not a wholesale animal, then you're willing to hold it back at this point. So I'm like, look, at the end of the year, and this thing animal 300 grams, I'm just gonna throw it in my holdback rack.
Yep. I'm getting pointed.
My dinner is ready, and it's starting to storm here, so I'm gonna lose you here in a second, anyways. What else we got?
Oh, that's about it, dude. I'll cut you out, dude. I appreciate the podcast and stuff. So, a lot of good information and stuff. So, thank you, dude.
I'll really enjoyed it.
I'll bring you back at some point or whatever for sure. I'll definitely talk to you in October or whatever. I'm always there in Tinley and stuff. So make sure.
Tinley, guys. Appreciate you.
Yeah, for sure. So, guys, like, comment, subscribe on the video. Make sure you guys are following Bob Vu on Instagram if you are not, which I'm sure most of you probably are.
And if you can do me a favor and go to Southeast Reptile Expo and follow our Instagram page, because we're not doing very good there. Our Facebook page is doing great. Our Instagram page not so good. So go give us a follow.
Give them a follow, guys. Give them that love, man. So I appreciate it, Bob. I said we will be doing I'll be live at Lapeer tomorrow. Will be over in Valspero, so we will be separate. So we'll be doing a live show at the expo there, live streaming. So make sure to pop in, say hi. If you haven't subscribed yet, please do. I'm trying to hit 1,000. Bob, thank you so much for coming on the show. I'll make sure to do some clips and stuff like that and highlight us, man. I appreciate it, dude. Thank you so much.
Thank you, man. Yep. Thank you for your time.
Later.
Bye.
We got the love, we got the fire. Life's a game, starts taking us higher. Feeling strong, no time to tire. Living dreams like our own empire. Moving fast, no looking back. Hearts on track, never slack. Hand in hand, we got the knack. Together we light up the pack.
And I'm going to come back on here for a quick second. I want to give everyone a big thank you for tuning into the show, supporting the podcast, growing to what it is. I appreciate every single one of you. I do wholeheartedly. Please share the channel for me. Give me comments and stuff. I appreciate them. I read every single one of them. I try to respond when I can. So you guys are awesome. I love the community. I hope you guys have a freaking fantastic weekend. Stay blessed, guys. Take care. We're out.